What is going on, internet? And welcome to OnlyCops. We are here. We are on time, so nobody can say otherwise. We barely squeaked in at 7:30, and producer Juan will be adjusting himself. He was busy providing you guys with the primo quality content.
That's right.
But also fan noise, in case you're wondering. Hey, but it's hot in there. It's hot in there because we're constantly cooking his computer with editing.
That's right.
I want to give a big first place to Mr. Bandit. That was actually the name of the first dog I had from puppy all the way to the end of his life was Bandit. It was a good dog.
My sister also has a dog named Bandit.
No way. We used to put a bandana on him and everything. It was great.
Yeah, I remember Bandit. Yeah,
dude, good dog.
I remember Bandit going blind and
yeah,
was it Bandit that went blind.
Yeah. He got old and blind.
That poor dog.
That poor guy. He had a good life though.
Yeah.
The Dan Hammer, he's not second. I do appreciate his taking the high road and being a moderator and not including himself. Would be a conflict of interest. Sticks is indeed second, should I say, and then Mr. Toestar is third. And then Andrew is fourth. Thank you guys. Shannon, it is good to see you back in the mod. I've been missing Shannon here. A now kind of long time Patreon member and like an absolute OG from the bonsai days. She made most of those.
Part of our oversight board too.
Yes.
Helps pick out all of the videos we watch.
So you can blame them when these are sketchy. Kai, Sweeper, it is good to see you. It is also good to see a lot of these members coming back. Dad, or Da Sweepa, is in here. Another blue check mark person who can hit you with the band hammer. Christy C, of course, Senior Sergeant Dan Hammer. I swear that name gets longer every couple of streams.
It's just Danny Boy to me.
Christy, Brian Miner, Notorious Emu. It is good to see another
Brian
one
Miner.
of our vigilante group here. I still don't know. Oh, he put Joe because we can't say his name. Joe, I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that for me. I have a hard enough time probably pronouncing Joe correctly more oftentimes than not. Patty, woo!
Too many letters.
What is going on? That is a lot. There's 2 vowels in that.
Mm-hmm.
Robert
We're
Carson.
right next to each other. That's dangerous.
Kevin Bennett. Let's see. Am I missing somebody?
Oh,
Robert Carson.
we're part of this one today.
Yes. That is the kind of PTSD I want in my life. Spoiler Guide 2.0. Christian Halsey. John C. Welcome to being a member here at the OnlyCops group. And Christian Halsey, thank you. One for this little try again emoji. Though when controllers were only this shape, video games were much harder. And thank you to everybody that has grown. We are about to hit 14,000 subscribers. We are back at it and seeing some channel growth. If you're currently watching this live stream, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If not, become a member of our YouTube organization here by becoming a member for as little as $1 a month. It gives you direct access to our Discord, and or for those of you that are already partaking in Patreon, you can also do it there for the same price. There's slightly different tiers because, of course, there's not interoperability between websites and things of that nature, but both of them will give you access to the Discord. And there is also, as you see on screen, a bunch of cool merch. Producer Juan has made a bunch of cool designs. That's a couple different ways that you can support the channel. Either way, we are dedicated to giving you guys at least 2 streams every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 Central Standard Time, where we answer mostly law enforcement related questions. And then if you guys have found us through Officers React, we do those periodically. Weekly's very, very hard with the way that lawyers work for copyright. But when we can win the copyright lawyer speak, Producer Juan can sneak some of those in there. Thank you. Is it Sony we got to thank for this last one? Shout out to Sony for not taking it down.
This one was NBC Universal
NBC.
for... Yeah, SWAT was Sony.
Thank you guys for
snuck that through.
So, anyways, this is going to be law enforcement related. We are covering one body cam. Normally we save these for Thursdays.
Starting with that?
I don't know. Maybe I kill a little bit of time and then do it, but I don't want to end with it. That's what I don't want to do.
I wanted to save it to Thursday, but
So the only thing is nobody's gonna talk about it by then, unless you're gonna lead with that on Thursday.
I mean, we can. It's not like it's making it on our social channels by that point either way. So
No, yeah.
we're not really the
Let's
news breaking channel here.
let's do. I'm gonna push that towards the back. We'll see if that one makes it. I just think it's my conversation's more about tactics, less about should he, shouldn't he. I have a very specific discussion that I want to have with that. But until then, we're going to see a bunch of tools that I think are dumb. This is tool number 1. Thank you to our vigilante group for putting this on our radar. This is corrections officer in Metro Jail use wearable shock gloves. It's like a taser, but more useless. They're trying to combine. I've seen this. I was at SHOT Show when I saw this. And it's basically like a taser in a glove. And I'm like, but if you're already hands-on, what are we doing? Like, it's a weird, I don't know.
Okay, I want to see this.
Spend a lot of time trying to get unruly inmates to comply.
Yeah, but now guards say they have a new tool helping them get a real upper hand.
Our Dacian Smith has the story for us.
I
And
already
Dacian,
hate
this
that
is a
lead-in.
new tool. It's a glove, much like a taser.
Somebody was real proud of that line.
Yes, it is. And the staff here at Metro Jail say these new gloves have really made a difference. And in some cases, they've gotten the inmates to comply just from putting them on. With around 1,500 inmates in Metro Jail, it's common for things to get unruly.
We have assaults on a daily basis, and we have fights between.
They got a 1950s
I was
detective here.
gonna say this is a
Surprised he
weird.
doesn't have like
He's
playing
like
cards
chewing,
coming out of his hat.
chewing on a cigar or smoking, like chain smoking a cigarette, right?
That's a gumshoe.
Anyways, it's also his badge is kind of adorable. It's like a pin more than a badge.
Yeah.
Now this is a county style badge. These like star style one. This is for deputies, as
Deputies.
opposed to police officers that typically have, or municipal cops that tend to have shields. What does Stadies have? Do they do the star or they do the badge? I don't know.
It's kind of a toss-up. I mean, you look at Louisiana State Troopers, they actually have the state of Louisiana is their badge. So there's no telling what they do.
It's a prison. Damn.
Oxygen deprivation.
between inmates almost on a daily basis.
Which is why over a year ago, Sheriff Sam
I just
Cochran
don't
ordered some
buy
of
this
these gloves
at all.
after seeing them demonstrated at a conference. And in the 14 months since they've been used, corrections officers have already seen results.
They're starting to get more familiar in the jail, so a lot of times when we have an incident and they see us coming to the area,
Somebody's giving us a
putting the
doggo.
glove on,
I blame Juan.
they'll go
It's
ahead
my
and
dog
comply.
back there.
The gloves are used
I
along
don't know
with
why
other
she's
tools
freaking
like
out.
pepper spray, batons, and tasers.
If it doesn't stop
But even
in
though
like
they
2
give
minutes, I'll
off
go
a
check on
shock
it.
like a taser, the gloves do have their advantages.
So once you shoot the taser, it actually takes the risk of the person going down and injuring themselves. With the gloves, it's actually hands-on, so I have more control of a person that's going down.
Corporal Johnny P.
I just don't, outside of pain compliance, which a joint lock would do or pressure points would do, all of which are one, not going to set you on fire, and two, like, gonna actually give you leverage. I just don't know.
Well, what's the difference between this and just punching the guy?
That's kind of what
All
I'm
it's
getting
doing
at.
is just pain, right? Like that's
It's just pain.
the
Yeah.
purpose?
Because it's not gonna create an MI, or is it neuromuscular incapacitation or whatever the heck it is? It's some word. I don't know what it is. I never used the thing, so I never had to put it in a report.
Yeah, I'm gonna check on my dog.
Go check on the dog. I just don't. I don't buy that it's effective. I do think that it might be painful. I'm not saying it's not that, but pain in someone that's motivated, pain's not usually enough. That's been my experience with uses of force. I don't know, Keith. Am I off base?
Negative.
I just like leverage-based techniques, decentralizing, leg sweeping. I don't know. Even OC can be very unmotivating, only because it's like a much bigger step up than a localized pain point, right? I just
How do they conduct? I mean, is it like a taser where it's
I think
you
it's
get
it
like a
seems like a
cross-
dog collar
Cross
type.
current.
Because even like it,
With the gloves, it's actually hands-on, so I have more control of a person that's going
he's just
down.
gonna give him pain in his wrist here. I would let somebody do this to me, and see if they could actually get me into handcuffs. If that's the only
how much
training
they
they got
cost.
was glove. I bet you I could get the company rep would be pissed because it's probably not gonna work.
Maybe they want to prove you wrong.
Maybe, yeah. But I would volunteer to let them try to just use that for handcuffing. Except I get to punch him back. They can punch me too. I'm fine with it. But I'll sign the waiver.
Full bore.
Yeah, I'll sign the waiver. Only because like it's very similar to the taser. You're gonna use that hand for pain compliance as opposed to leverage. I know you can maybe do both, but like you're not gonna conduct much through someone's wrist or through someone's elbow. Typically, when we're the taser, which is designed to keep you from moving, right? You're aiming typically for the torso. You want to get like somewhere in the upper part of the back, and then somewhere like around the glute or the thigh or something like that. And so you're looking more. Oh, dude. Sam over here being in a pro. Sam, I'll let you hold me.
So it just seems like it's just like a dry stun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of dry stunning either, because it's just like there's no difference in between doing that and like punching someone. You know what I mean? Kind of like, and if anything, maybe it's less injury to the officer because you can't hurt yourself like striking someone. It also looks a little bit better on camera, but like, I don't know, specifically in a jail scenario where the likelihood of weapons is much lower. I'm not going to say zero, but much lower. And then the amount of hands that you can get involved here. I think what this is specifically here, these tools are being leveraged because specifically jails, county jails less so, but city jails, the recruiting there's terrible.
Yeah.
They will have either an incredibly old, overweight person that has no business anywhere near combative inmates, or like I've seen the opposite. We have these like tiny kids basically that are having to interact with violent felons, right? Like, or I guess they wouldn't be in a city jail if they were felons, but there's just stuff like that. I don't know. This is a weird.
Corporal Johnny Pugh says the gloves give off less voltage than a microwave. And
I'd let it
normally
happen.
doesn't take long to get compliance.
Yeah.
Normally,
I don't know what that
a
reference
cycle
is.
between
How
5
that
to
is
10
helpful.
seconds.
I've never stuck my hand in a microwave either, so I don't know how that's supposed
Yeah.
to give me a reference for.
Also, like
voltage.
I see it a lot of times in movies where they'll have like those tasers that just arc. Like it's painful, but like it'd be more painful to just take like those old like electronic cigarette lighters and just kind of burn you with it. Like that would hurt more. You know, it'd also scar you basically for the rest of your life. But
I'll say it does have the one benefit of like you don't have to be holding the thing; it is the thing.
yeah,
So you still have full mobility of your hands when you're doing it, as opposed to like holding a taser in one hand, having to control with the
I
other
would
hand.
say at least you do have both
That is
hands.
the one benefit that I do see
I
there.
buy that. I buy that.
But I just don't know that. I don't know. Maybe in jails where like they know they're not going to go anywhere anyway. You know, like you get
Their arm, their
compliance a
back,
little
or their
better. I
leg.
feel like if you
And normally,
have the opportunity to run away,
Situation that
you can fight through that real easily.
I want to see video of this working. This is a shocking. No, email. I will mute you. You need to chill.
that has escalated out of control.
So they're like
gloves,
$600, at least the ones I could find. $600 a pair. There are like $50 ones, but I'm guessing those aren't more than like a novelty item.
So
I'm gonna say
consider
skeptical.
this. Officer's wearing a pair of them, one on each hand.
Yeah.
He made attack. Some guy goes to his back. The officer goes to restrain him, grabs his head, try to back him away. Can you imagine planning that on each temple? And, you know, is it going to lock circuit? I mean, how that's just...
Yeah, it seems like
In theory, I'm all for officers having the tools
right?
to gain compliance, but I don't know if this would be...
well, if it's safe enough to like where it doesn't cause terrible injury to your face, then it's not useful for what they're saying they're
That's
doing.
kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's just not a like. And I'll go back. I hate that I always end up defending this, but the man catcher idea, right?
The man
So
catcher's
the
pretty
idea behind a man catcher And for what is it? I guess I'll look up man.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
Give me a link. Give me a link so I don't type something weird. But
every time it pulls up weird ass.
in a man catcher idea, I'm creating distance, which is going to create some level of officer safety because you can't get punched when you're at the end of a pole, and you get to pin them with a lot of leverage. Like literally, the pole itself is leverage, right? I don't know. It's just it. I would believe that. Oh my God, this picture.
Figured that was the easiest demonstration there.
Copy link. Can I do this? Is this you give me the link to the image?
Yeah,
I'll zoom in here for
you.
y'all. So the idea here is that there's a pole with like a little U joint, basically like a wishbone, and it can pin either into a barrier or just to push you away. It's like here's a great example. Here we go.
Yeah, I found another one.
Let's go. A video of it working too. It was probably in a training simulation, but this is effectively where you're just pinning them and letting them get tuckered out, which is giving you leverage and keeping these officers from getting hurt. Now, if this thing gets taken from you, the nice thing is a man catcher is probably not a terribly deadly weapon. This is probably like aluminum piping. So it'll hit just like a broomstick would or
like
whatever.
A leaf skimmer.
Or something like that. Like this
half of these look like PVC.
That's kind of and you'd want something a little bit more robust just so it doesn't bend under stress. But like if you made these out of like neoprene, or not neoprene, but they have like a plastic basic, it's a lot more pliable. So like you could get hit with it. It would hurt really bad, but it's not gonna be immediately deadly to you, right? You don't mind getting disarmed with one of these, especially if you have like a gaggle of dudes here with man catchers, right? But I feel like this is very low tech and would require next to no training and would likely reduce injury or office. Now, you still eventually have to go hands-on, right? Like you can't skip the hands-on part, but I feel like this would be more effective. This in conjunction with OC would be devastating. Like absolutely devastating. You just pin them and every single time you just keep OCing them or whatever. Just something. I don't know. I just feel like that's a $600 fix to a non-existent problem.
Spoiler guy, the one that shoots the leg or the net around the legs is cool too, but you'd have to be accurate with it.
The bowler wrap, yeah. That doesn't really help you. That doesn't help you in a jail because you're not nervous about them fleeing. You're trying to get them under control, which is a very different.
Might get them on the ground.
It might. I couldn't resist.
Or hopping very awkwardly.
Stop. So basically, a non-lethal, halberd.
We had they gave us it was like a stun baton, and it was extendable. Where the first,
like a cow prod?
It was kind of like that, but it would extend out. It had a handle on it, so it was almost, think of a really, really long PR-24. So you had a handle, and you had a release where the first 18 inches of it was live. You touch that sucker, your day is been really bad. But it was used for control, and if you had to back people up, I can't find them anymore. But
John said China has those. It's got to be effective if China's running them. It's just low tech. It's very low tech, low cost, requires next to no training, and might actually give you the edge. I could probably give people very little training and instruction on how to use one. You'd probably be crushed with one. What is this?
Yeah, you just have the advantage of distance.
That's the thing, is you're not getting kicked and punched while using it. That's the biggest
And it's also
thing.
like, it's literally the advantage of why spears were so useful. It's like you have distance and it's very easy for a dumb peasant to just pick one up and learn how to put pointy end that way.
And honestly, you can pin, especially if it's like a shallow arch, you could pin arms, you can pin legs, you can push legs out from under them, you can pin hips, you could just pin
or if
stuff.
you get one that's like a tuning fork, you can get like 5 dudes at once.
And just kind of press the guy onto the wall, right?
Yep. Yeah. You go at single file line time, and you get him like the, not hungry hippos, but whatever.
Stop.
Robotics thing. Chat line here. C4C, PFC.
So what's this guy doing?
We're at Extreme Couture here in Vegas. Shout out to all the Funker Tactical.
Funker Tactical's
Let's
legit.
say we have a gun belt on. We're dealing with the suspect on just a person stop. And up to this point, he's been cooperative. But he's going to try that sucker punch. He's going to try to punch us. We're not big believers in a bunch of different punching defense techniques.
I hope he just says clinch. It's like the only thing that should be natural to you is just clenching. Because, like, if this is going where I think it's going, and then, like, trying to block is for boxers, and that's about it. Yeah, blocking, unless you're very good at what you do, which, like, you don't ever want it to be skill dependent.
For example,
it's really the problem with shooting. A lot of times, firearms are very skill dependent tools. Like, it's not like cars that have, like, lane assist and, you know, cruise control and warnings and all that stuff. Firearms are very skill dependent. Blocking in a fight would be very skill dependent.
If Mike throws a rounded right hand, a lot of places, you know, they're going to do this kind of a block. If Mike throws a straight, they're going to do some kind of parry. If
parry.
Mike throws like a Donkey Kong over his head, then they're going to do some kind of overhead block, anything like that. We're not big proponents of that because in the time
you gotta eat it to show dominance.
Where the punch is, which hand it is,
show that you feel no pain.
I'm going to block it. That's time. And in a fight, things happen very, very, very quickly. So if we pressure test this stuff, which we're big believers in, Mike would actually put minimum.
Literally, pressure testing is just someone trying to beat your ass. That's the reason why. That's like the first time I was like, I'll fight someone for this. Is that, and I will give all the kudos in the world to our use of force guys and our training guys. The Arlington PD in 2017 had some absolute goats training in that because everything was pressure tested. They did not, you weren't taught a single thing that they didn't say, now try to stop them from doing it and see how effective this is. And you would work at it. You try to make it hard for them. And the techniques were effective because they could be done even against somebody that was like trying to make you run laps. like if I win, I don't have to get hurt, right? Versus if you win, whatever. Like it I like that. I like hearing that phrasing.
MMA gloves on, maybe big gloves, and we'll actually attack each other, try to punch each other in the face. What we find is that in that kind of an environment, especially if
also you can see how kind of like swollen his ears are. He actually gets punched in the face.
We're going to stop a scenario where I don't know if Mike's going to punch me. And maybe on one scenario he cooperates the whole time, then on another one he spontaneously. One guy in that fight. Show me one guy. Worldwide. We're talking China, Japan. What did you say? Nonsense. What
show me someone who can block.
It could be here. It could be here. It could be here. It could be here. As long as I'm covering and I'm.
It is actually really, I don't remember where this is picked up from, and maybe I'm skipping through this so we don't have to watch this whole lecture, but where you get knocked out is oftentimes it's getting hit in the jaw, right? There's actually really good, your flinch response should be to tuck your chin and cover up, because there are, if there was a really exceptionally strong person, could hit you in the forehead and snap your neck back. But if you roll your shoulders forward and tuck your chin, you'd be surprised at how much better off you're going to do. Because you can't stop. I know he looks kind of menacing on this pause. You can't stop the punch from coming in. You're likely not going to be able to dodge it. Sometimes you're lucky if you're doing a good job of space, or that person like really telegraphs the hell out of the punch. But if you're not expecting it to happen, like you're writing in your notepad or whatever, or you're letting some lady go into the kitchen when she shouldn't be there, like if you're not expecting something, your reactionary gap's going to be relatively small. At least your flinch response could be to start tucking that chin and rolling those shoulders over. It's like a standing fetal position is the best way I could describe it.
Controlling range, I'm coming forward, okay? So Mike's my bad guy. I'm interviewing him. I'm telling him, hey, turn around, put your hands behind your back. If he switches his feet, that's the single biggest indicator we're going to
imagine trying to arrest this guy. Look at how big this dude's shoulders are. It's a bad day. I've had to arrest that before. Uncooperative, this is like a good 2-minute fight. Not a good day. Leg swept and everything. It's like, oh, cool, I get to now fight this person who's way stronger than me. Standing, laying down as opposed to standing up.
Mike, go back to normal stance. If I ever see this on a stop, I'm immediately making space.
Yes.
What are you doing? Fix your feet. Training. I'm immediately addressing that. No one punches from here. Everybody does either a step forward or a step back, and then it's going to go. So one of your biggest indicators is foot position. Mike did it unconsciously because he knew he was going to punch.
Because Mike's a pipe hitter here.
Do that though, Mike, and then throw your punch. So now his punch comes. I'm covering and I'm closing that distance.
That's effectively
I'm coming
clenched.
forward.
Good job.
The other thing is, throw it rounded again. If I'm going here, I'm blocking. I'm blocking. Our concept is covering. So let me show you the difference. Throw that rounded again. Boom, I'm covering. I'm just going forward on mic so there's no space.
The only downside to this technique, if it's not also met up, like imagine if there's a huge size difference, right? Like let's say I'm a good 80 pounds or 100 pounds smaller than the guy I'm now running into. If I have no grappling skills whatsoever, I have now brought all of my tools closer to this person. So this is going to be my gun. This is going to be my baton if you have to carry that like I did back in the day. So there are going to be some things you have to think about. Like if you're going to train this, you also have to train like weapon retention. You have to train a lot of that. It's also just clenching in general. But there's a lot of easy things that are not strength based that you could do here. What's Keith saying? Why are tacos popping up?
I don't know. I lost track after
I'm nervous.
3,000 electricity puns that were dropped in here.
Goodness.
Space is not my friend. Space is a friend of NASA and the person defending. A barrier. Underhook it.
Bite his ear.
Overhook it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or pass it in front of me.
Yeah.
Now I'm all the way behind. Angle mirror. But the problem for Mike is his attacks have changed. Now he's going to turn and face me. He's not going to stay there. But I'll create another angle. So let's go over this again. I'm at an angle.
Oh, I want to see this demo.
Punch comes, I cover. Okay? You can open that hand up, make it straight. I'm at an angle.
All of this is very. Oh, this is beautiful.
Grab and twist.
What you'll see what he did here is he actually C-clamped this dude's right down here from behind him, lifting that hand up to go around and try to hit you again or try to get more leverage. Is very, very good. You take him to the ground, and if you have the skills he doesn't, this is a very winnable fight, even if there's a big size discrepancy. But like, this is all very, very good training. I have no beef with what he's saying here. Watch this. Hold on. Who's this? I'm gonna drop a like. Funker Tactical.
Funker Tactical.
Mega based training. Video. Thank you for your service. Smiley face. Done. Comment done. Okay. Yeah, why blocking is useless. I agree. Good video. Oh, I'm so pumped about this.
Yes.
Bill's not here for it. I'm assuming, let's see. Is this like her job or is this just
no, so she's a cop and so these are dogs that she's gotten called, like she had to answer a call about an aggressive dog. And so these are just like she's rating different dogs. Yeah. Rating aggressive dogs that she's had to show up to deal with.
10 out of 10, great jumper. 9 out of 10, uniform now extremely muddy. Oh, negative 9 out of 10. Yeah. Oh, what a butthole! This is
damn.
That is a bad one.
Muddy.
Abandoned at the gas station, adopted by an officer. Oh, look at this!
Bill's not here for these. He would have loved this. Oh, I'm glad he was adopted.
Yes,
that's basically my dog, just not that extreme.
That is a corgi dog.
But yeah, German Shepherd corgi mix. Let's go.
That's kind of adorable.
Sweetest freaking dogs.
Yes. Oh, look at him. This face.
That I would believe being an aggressive dog.
Yeah.
That's rage packed in a tiny package.
So that's the one. That's the one. Where's that taser glove when you need it? You go pin this dog. Oh my god. Oh my god. What a cutie patootie.
She was trapped in what? What was that? What did they say?
I gotta go back. Hold on.
A little further back. The caller says she was trapped in her house by an aggressive dog.
It's like a 5-pound dog, like a puppy. Hey, look at that. Like just a cold, it's like a bird dog or something, like a pit bull puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's kind of adorable. For all the text messaging, please. I tell you what, dogs almost across the board, always really, really sweet. I have a cool picture after party time. I'll show it to you guys. I have, it was Bill and I's last day on patrol together. I did work one more shift without him. But Bill's very last day on shift, we spent like 4 hours finding this dog's home. It took forever. Took the dog for a walk. The dog finessed us out of like $20 for the dog treats. It's pretty good. Cute dog. Florida Highway Patrol street takeover.
That's part of policing, Dan. Dealing with dogs.
Yeah.
Josh just told a story when he did it.
Yeah. You got to find this, like, so in America, everyone has pets. Everybody's got pets.
In Australia, they're all dingoes and you can't take them home. But...
Exactly. You have dogs, cats, lizards, tigers, I don't know, horses. People own everything here. It's wild. We get after
people will call for all kinds of things because they also call
emus.
As there's an aggressive dog loose and it's just they're annoyed at their neighbor.
Yep.
Because their neighbor lets their dog out.
Because they know we won't show up for the loud noise complaint. But if we say it's a crazy dog attacking people, like PD has to show up. It's the worst. I remember when people figured that out. That was it tripled the amount of calls we went to for that. Dan, no.
You're lucky Bill's not here, Dan.
Dan, you need to chill. I did say emus, yes. We own everything here, dude. Like, I don't know.
Bro, there's one of my friends was telling me they grew up in a rural town here in Texas, in Poetry, Texas, and their neighbors just had a lion that would get out all the time and go eat like the neighbors' cattle and stuff.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
You're going out there to go move your cows, and you're like, what? I don't know. That'd be a dead lion.
Tiger King. Yeah.
If it ate one of my cows, bro, that'd be a dead lion.
Have the expectation that everybody should be in a pair of handcuffs tonight.
I have gotten that speech before, and it's pretty rad. Only once. And that assistant chief, God bless his soul, he was our Chief Johnson was the police chief when I started in Arlington, and then we got both of our assistant chiefs did like interim shifts as acting chief. And when Chief Colby was there, this was peak summer of love time, and he gave us the whole lecture about if a single building catches fire in my city, I'm firing y'all. And I was like, well, okay, yes, sir. And it makes sense because he's like, well, what are they paying you to do? Those taxpayers are paying for you to keep their livelihood safe. I don't care if it's a Section 8 apartment all the way to Walmart. Not a single building burns in this city. And I was like, all right, bet. And yeah. Handcuffs got very worn those evenings.
Did y'all do zip cuffs?
No, I kept like 4 pairs of handcuffs on. By the time we got them to the jail, we'd get our handcuffs back, and so
because I don't know if you remember that Dallas PD when they basically like
that was different.
Yeah, like 1,000 people onto a bridge and then like zip cuffed everybody on there.
Get played. That was a kind of like primo move. Yeah, at that point you need zip cuffs.
Wild.
Yeah. Basically like daisy chaining all of the suspects together. Yeah, you guys are sharing zip cuffs.
Corralling them all.
Yeah. But yeah. You take like you have like the cattle movers, those like trailers instead of the paddy wagon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think all they did was just like park patrol cars like so where the across streets to just close them off.
In a deputy setting, or I guess when you look at the sheriff's office, how many deputies would you have on duty for something like this? Could you mobilize deputies for this, or at least Keith in your time?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we had Y2K.
So I forgot about that. Oh, you were around for that.
Y2K was interesting. The lead up, the everything, the panic, and then the nothing.
And then the nothing.
Yeah,
Oh, the nothing made everybody mad, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was all a real big letdown. But they massed us. Of course, we had where I was at. We were supplemented by constables, and then I was in a large city, or my county was a large city, so we also had federal enforcement.
Yeah.
So, for things like that, we got it all put together.
How wild. Yeah, we just had all of our specialized units, so like the heat teams, the narcotics teams, everybody threw on a uniform, and every single patrol car that we had available even if it was like kind of semi fucked up getting fixed, they were like, no, put it on the street. And attitudes were adjusted. And it was weird because like the first third of the shift would be very busy and then it would all die. Like everybody would be like, let's go mess around in Fort Worth. Let's go mess around in Dallas. Like
they mess around in Dallas.
Yeah. And that's basically what happened is a lot of the smaller municipalities just bolstered their manpower, arrested a bunch of people, and were very aggressive about arresting people. And then people would go do it somewhere else. So that was you working for your taxpayer at that time.
It's crime displacement theory.
Yep. We displaced a lot of crime in those couple of months.
Took it to my city.
Yeah. But these are big mobilizations. I don't know if this is. I'm gonna go ahead and. I don't know if that's.
It should be royalty free.
I don't recognize it. It doesn't say that.
Yeah. Sounds royalty free.
It's just busy, dude. The radio. Like, I always felt bad for dispatch on these.
The races are officially f***ed, boys. This I'm just gonna stay here.
Crime displacement in the works. I will say that was one of the funniest things to watch. Is you'd be sitting in like the Sally Port working on a report, and we had a shout out to them. They'll probably never see this, but Arlington Urban was an Instagram account, and they would do like documentation of stuff happening in the city, and people would complain on Arlington Urban about, man, we were about to pop off here and the cops came and broke it up. And I was like, based. That's how you know at least what you're doing is being felt, because you would immediately have people in the comments, thank God, F you guys for messing up. You know what I mean? They're like the residents that were annoyed that all that stuff was happening. And it's like, yeah, like the people that actually live there don't want all this stuff going on. So it was a good, this is where like the peacekeeping part of the job. I just watched Tombstone recently with the wife, and it's basically that. Like there's just a bunch of random crime happening, and you're just the idle threat to all of them to go away. It's a weird thing to experience. It's not as cool as it sounds, but it is. Every once in a while it can be. A lot of arrests.
Oh, guy in a t-shirt?
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked. The leisure
Oh, I know this guy. This is Peter. I've worked with this guy before. Yeah, I have this guy's phone number. That's kind of weird.
Oh, no, let's call him.
There's a belt that clips on.
I'll call him and be like, hey, I'm talking about you here.
Yeah.
Buy American.
Shout out to this guy.
Welcome back to another episode of Police Vlogs, where we go to the street and emerge and be.
Yeah, so we.
You like that? It was like a little Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, it was definitely Dr. Seuss. We're going to deploy. Tonight we're going to be using it to again keep the roadway safe.
Drone.
We have properly inverter in the back. We can power
also,
up all
was
incident
Cops
command
Theme
from the
by
back.
Creepy Child, now on iTunes. Nice. Okay, so it's like a newer artist.
Shout out to them.
That was a cool song.
He's like, yikes.
Yeah. They want to write some music for Officers React.
They made them test. So when you get tasers, you are supposed to test them every single shift. It's called power cycling them, right? So you take your little cartridge off. I don't know how it works now, but on the old, I guess it's the X26 or whatever we had. I don't remember what the model number was. You take the cartridge off, you'd flip the thing on, and you'd let it do a full 5-second power cycle, so it'd buzz or whatever. And when I was a rookie, I did everything by the book because I didn't want to get in trouble. And yeah, I just stopped doing it after a while. And every in-service that happened after that, I would get like browbeat. I think my battery was like dead. And my OC was not only expired, my can I kept my can upside down so that when I pulled it out, it'd be in like the right orientation. I had never moved it. You could see the rust from like moisture hitting it in the holster, and I had to do a uniform inspection, and my sergeant at the time was like, dog, it's 2021 and this expired in 2019. He's like, and I'm pretty sure it's never left like that pouch. And I was like, yes sir. That's all I said. He was like, he made me go to the training center because we had all of our equipment for that stuff, and I had to get a new one. I was sad about that. But yeah, it wouldn't have worked if I tried to deploy it. I think it was also completely empty. Like it had just slowly leaked out over time. And yeah, good times. I was a bit of a problem child. Just a bit. I was a good cop though, according to my supervisors. The Nod Squad.
They're actually already starting to stage as we speak. We have our UAV unit, which is our drone pilot. He is monitoring for us. We also have, obviously, the assistance of Miami-Dade and Miami Gardens in unmarked
As
units.
a multi-unit or a multi-agency
also
effort.
doing surveillance, and they're relaying to us that they're staging. They're starting to form up, and we're going to go ahead and stage in our assigned area.
So you all just get on the same channel?
Yeah, if you're going to do that, you're going to get, typically you'd have like a shared channel, especially if it was a special like assignment, if you want to call it that. So like if we knew, for instance, let's say it was a big pursuit, or like typically if any multi-agency effort, at least where we were at, we had digital radios. So dispatch would actually make a channel, and either we would switch to it or she could manually switch. Like let's say it was a big call that required like 50 or 60 officers. They would manually move us all over there. It was kind of wild. We had a very sophisticated radio system though. I don't know. Keith, were they cool? Was it that cool where you were at, or do you have to like move the bunny ears and?
Not till the end. I mean, we had to turn the tinfoil little flag.
Turn the tinfoil.
You know? But there towards the end, I got, I mean, we had the trunk radios. I mean, you could call the FBI on our radios. I mean, you're switching channels and, So, but what was it, ICS?
We had Law IO.
Incident command system. When they started our training, that's when they started with the trunk systems, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
It was cool, but yeah, there was a couple of different ways to accomplish it, but at the dumb level, you'd pull your radio off your belt. The only time you'd ever pull the radio off your belt, and it was to go click over, because it wasn't just a knob at that point. You were actually switching completely over.
Yeah, you had to change from like county level to city, state, federal, whatever it may be.
So we'd
talk to fire. We can mess with fire.
The dispatches would basically talk to each other and say, "Let's designate this channel," and our individual dispatchers would tell us what to switch to. But this could happen on the fly. So this was like, especially if they had something wild that was popping off. A lot of times this would happen if there was like a stolen vehicle that turned into like an OIS. So if there's an officer involved shooting and the suspect's still on the loose, they would ask for other agency help. This happened all the time with us in Fort Worth or us in Grand Prairie. And so Air One would get involved, which is Tarrant County, right? Us, and then Grand Prairie. So it was Arlington and Grand Prairie, which are two municipal units, and then they would be a county asset, all involved in the same call. You'd even get like ULIS or somebody. So all of us would converge on a call, and all of our dispatches, they would elect somebody to sit there and say, okay, you're running it. Typically it was us, or Tarrant County would take over that channel, and their dispatcher would be. I've only worked it once, and it was because it was really clusterfucking. I think we had new dispatchers where we just talked to ourselves, and we would we basically grouped off one person per agency per group. It was very weird, but we were
designated talker
basically. So we were able to, I could tell Fort Worth what we were doing, and then Fort Worth would notify their dispatch, Arlington PD is doing XYZ. Arlington. So that's how we did it. I have complaints about all that radio stuff that happened during our assassination attempt for that. I was like, what do you mean you couldn't talk to each other? Like, this was solved like 15, 20 years ago. Like, this is not a new problem. There's some kid with a ham radio that could have done that, but there was ways of making this happen.
To be able to move in efficiently and try to end this unlawful assembly.
Unlawful assembly. What he said.
South team, go here.
Okay, you good.
Norge, I'm putting Sully and Reggie at that first parking block facing out.
Norge and Alexis are gonna overtake this street because they gotta come central here. All right, so Randy's coming here.
That is live footage of the
Apple Watch.
Oh, his Apple Watch. That's a sin.
It is pretty neat to be able to like see the drone footage on your.
That is kind of rad.
Your watch though.
That is kind of rad. I'll give them that.
They make like a heavy duty Apple Watch that's like indestructible. That'd be kind of cool.
I would want basically like a Pit Boy. Is what I would want.
Yeah,
but like
a whole arm size.
That's what I
thing.
would want.
Yeah,
that I might wear. because that'd be pretty rad.
Well, it also like it serves as like if you get one on both arms, one's just protective, one's got the pit boy on it, and then if you get into a fight with somebody with a pipe, you can block.
So one of the things I have had this discussion about with outer vests. So I always had to wear inner vests because my department hated me. But they
switched from that recruiting video we saw.
I know. Don't get me started. You're gonna get me pissed off about
y'all
this.
Can have tattoos and beards,
outer vest, and the whole
outer
nine.
vests, baseball hats.
They do have
vacation
now
days, all the things.
They have what's called ATAC. You guys can Google it if you'd like to, but they have basically it's a live. Integrated map where you can share intelligence. This is taken from the military. They have like a fancy version of this in the military, but they have either CivTac or like a modified version of ATAC where basically your phone can be placed on your body and you can have one of these interactive maps and you can share data and do a lot of that stuff that you could do now with just a cell phone. So your issued cell phone could be set up on one of these and you could share that data in real time, which I think would be helpful, especially if somebody was like in a foot pursuit or if they were like on foot trying to create a perimeter. It would be easier than it's like an MDC that can physically be on you. I think would be cool, but a pit boy, but not on your wrist.
Pit boy, PIT boy would be the name.
Oh, that's kind. Oh, I'm here for it, dog. The pit boy.
Yeah.
You have like a deployer, like a little what is it? The bowler wrap, like deployer, kind of like Batman, basically. Like whatever.
But it's more like that, the arm on the rook where it just kind of punches him and knocks him over.
I'm here for it, dog.
We just did another pass and good 80 cars lined up on the side road. So we must have
a Honda CRV. That's the video car. That's a lot of units.
Second race track on.
That's the one you don't want. You know they're just there for pursuing and pitting. All the municipal guys and the county guys are like, yeah, we'll let the trooper handle this. That trooper's command staff doesn't give a damn.
He is stationary, but he's doing burnouts on the main line.
So what you're seeing on the screen right now is the drone aerial shot that has the FLIR camera, so it got that night vision look to it. You can see all those little dots. Those are cars lined up, and what they do is they shut down traffic or they go around and they start drag racing. So it's illegal, as I mentioned before, to spectate, partake in this everything.
They're deploying fireworks. Be advised, they're deploying fireworks.
I'm not gonna lie. The most ready or not like vibe I've ever had was doing. It's very few times where I've ever gotten to participate in it. When I got dysentery was one of them. There was a handful of times I got to do stuff with fugitives, and or we made an operation on patrol to go and execute a warrant. It was very rare that we ever got to do this because we spent all our time getting beat up in domestics and or in DWIs. But you're like in a group of 6 or 7 and you're like deploying somewhere and everyone turns their lights off. It's kind of a cool feeling. You're like, oh yeah, like now we're policing, baby. That is a cool feeling. And I do get baby hyped for that. A nice highway.
That's why they drag race on it.
The races are officially f***ed, boys. Oh, I'm just gonna stay here. This
These Chargers did sound good when you really got after it. He said, you going after that car or what? Are we just here to turn on the wee-woos? That's a state guy. That's some trooper energy. Oh, they went the wrong way on the service road. To be like, See, what I like about the way they're treating this is it prevents the pursuit. Like it's why I never understand when people are in like a high risk traffic stop why they just don't box the car in. Make it to where they physically have to shove a patrol car with their car out of the way. Anytime we had to force entry, I had about 2 sovereign citizens I had to do this to. One, shout out to the Rangers ballpark because I did it right in front of the old stadium. And then the second one was in front of a middle school. But we physically put a patrol car both in front and in back and like touched their bumpers. Like they knew. We'd already told them like, dude, if you don't comply with this, like we're pulling you out of the car. And I have that. That's on. I'm pretty sure I have that one on this.
On
phone.
the dead phone.
Yeah, I have it. I have it on that one. It charges. I just think the screen's broken. The screen and
Next
the
time
port
I'm over
are
there, I'm
broken.
gonna take it from you, and I'm just gonna take it to my phone fixing guy.
I
will pay for it just to get that shit off there because it's ridiculous. That we can't get access to that damn phone.
Put your hands on your back. Put your hands on your back.
Get to see me not break a window with a baton. It took me like 4 hits to break that window open. The guy was very compliant though. It's less exciting than you think.
Oh, dummy. There you go. See, block him in. Oh. Well.
Oh, he fell. What a loser.
Yeah, he didn't seem very good at that biking thing. See, that's where you need the shocker gloves.
Stop. So dumb.
Take the fight right out of him.
Close line, I'm gonna fix that.
They got him right here. They got him right here.
Let the taser out. I saw that.
Yeah, my wife's
There's no hiding from us.
There you go, Omar. Look for that.
I got a gun on my waist. You turned around, you're driving the wrong way. I know.
That's reckless.
That's reckless. Sorry. You're going to...
Hitting them with the reckless. That's a felony here in Texas. It's a state jail, right?
Damn.
Reckless?
You can charge him with the criminal mischief too for the damage to the patrol car too.
Stop, Keith. Bro, Keith was not the one.
Like, look, hey,
Snatching
like
souls.
games. Here you go.
There was.
I'll give it all to you.
I had a guy. I'll leave him unnamed. He was a good cop. Keith, you would have loved him because you guys were 2 peas in a pod. But every call, I'd be dragging somebody like out of a tree line or whatever. He's like, "That's injury to a tree. That's that's class B misdemeanor." And I'm like, "You need to chill." He's like, "Did you damage your uniform?" That's criminal mischief. Like he would be pulling out the wildest charges. I'm like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's petty. Everyone's saying just fix the phone. Do what?
I had a guy who stepped on the state plant. I didn't charge him with it. I threatened to. It's like that is the state plant, sir. You just damaged it.
Keith would have been there like, those are blue bonnets, okay? Like these are protected.
These are protected flowers.
Yeah, protected species. That's correct, sir.
Bro, Keith would be on some extra stuff, man. Good cop to have around though.
Also had a gun on him too.
Yeah. Also, those like really polite. So what are you charging him for again? like the worst question. They'd sometimes ask you just to fuck with you, but senior cop stuff. Good guys. They can be. I've seen examples of bad ones.
What's the dog doing?
Ow, get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get out!
Put the park
Get out of the car! Get out!
Command Spanish. Sal del carro.
I was about to say.
Sal del carro.
Sal de carro.
Sal de carro. Abre carro.
Open the car. Bro, who is this plainclothes goon?
Dude.
I am
no
not.
mess, no nothing, no identifying information.
I'm not here for this. I tell you what, I saw this guy.
Right back.
Don't plainclothes me. That's all I'm trying to say. that is a good way to get the South Dallas treatment. Okay, don't be doing this. I've never been a fan of plainclothes guys using force. Like unless you're coming out of a marked patrol car. And there's like other, I don't know, dude. That's sketchy.
Even that, I got.
That's sketchy,
Because
dude.
it's like, how do I know that that's a real? Like you do.
And imagine
marked patrol cars on Facebook Marketplace that I can buy right now.
And imagine that I'm in an I'm in an interagency task force, right? I have no idea who this guy is. I could be from a completely different agency. I'm like, hey, who's this dickhead with a gun? Like, I'd put if this was the snapshot I was presented as a police officer, would it be unreasonable for me to think that this guy's sneaking up on this cop to shoot him?
Nope.
Nope.
Bro, you'd be pretty ignorantly approached. I talk about this a lot with CHL carriers, and I'm all here for being the good guy with a gun, but think about the situation you're putting yourself in and be a little bit more self-aware of the stress you're putting others in by doing this. I'm never a fan of that. Be a good witness.
Yo, Albert, what did you see? Where?
Truly, this is why I'm interested in these types of stuff. The type of people that are willing to organize shutting down a freeway, there's going to be players in this. And by players, I mean like people that are playing in organized crime. Everybody else is just participating because they're young and bored. But every once in a while, when a squirrel that dropped their meth, okay, on the side of the street.
Oh, I got it. It's white powder. White powder.
Cocaine. Well, it's Miami. It's probably cocaine, let's be honest. Everybody getting stopped.
No motorcycle endorsement. And spectating. You have your license?
Spectating.
You have a motorcycle license?
Bro,
he covered it. He said it was illegal to spectate.
The second you see an Instagram handle on a car, probably going to jail. You're like,
Hey, shout out to that guy. He's getting a nice little shout out here in the video.
At 3L underscore. Oh, blank. It's blank Forge.
It's blank. Freaking near this Houston?
No.
He would go to Florida. To do this.
If you want to hit him up for spectating, hit him up for spectating.
La cocaña? Legalize kush? Of all the things to get pulled over in. That's not my cocaine. It's just right next to my bike.
Oh, that's my cousin's car.
Doing what?
Exact same model.
Were your eyes closed?
I don't understand why spectating is a crime in some states. I had the same argument with exhaust noise. In Texas, it doesn't matter how loud your car is. The problem's going to be whether or not it passes inspection. If it passes inspection and we have no way of measuring your emissions, there's no way I could have like a what would it be called? Like a basically
meter?
It's like we wouldn't use one in that instance because there's no threshold. You'd have to articulate somehow that it's like a public nuisance for noise, but like nobody's there carrying a decibel meter to do all that crap. But I know in California, any modified exhaust, and they're stopping you for it, basically. I don't believe in that because I'm like, well, if it's road legal and safe to operate on a roadway, I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. But different states are going to articulate what they do and don't want because registering the vehicle is predicated on what the state will allow. Underglow is illegal in Texas, right? There's certain criteria around you can have lights that are not just headlights and taillights, but they're very strict on what they can be. Same thing with like reflective devices. Heck, having your high beams on. I stopped probably a car a night for driving with just their high beams on full blast the whole time. I was like, no. It hurts my eyes. It hurts everybody else's eyes. That's a hazard. It's also expressly prohibited in Texas Penal Code. So it just depends on typically that state, the way the state decides to go and write the statute. But Florida hyper police, jeez. But yeah, the reason they do spectating is so they don't encourage people to encourage the racing, is my guess. It's probably
because you're not just. I mean, you will race for the fun of it, but you're not like blocking traffic to race for the fun of it. You're blocking traffic to have people watch you race.
And the way that they disseminate or they delineate between the two is like for spectating, you're going to have to be present and with the intention of encouraging that type of. So they don't have to figure out who's blocking traffic versus who's waiting to block traffic. The way that these shutdowns happen, typically they call it staging, but you'll wait just off scene and then go ahead and make scene and stuff like that. I'm sure it's like a Class C misdemeanor. It's like the lowest. It's basically a ticketable offense.
Ticket.
The only reason they're going to jail is so they can correct the behavior right then and there. Same thing with public intoxication. I theoretically could just write you a ticket and cut you loose. But then, like, what's the point? This is so that they can discourage the behavior.
There's nothing out here. There's no businesses. There's no nothing. What are you doing out here? Park, hanging out? But doing what? Park doing what? Just watching the races? Watching the races?
This investigation.
Spectating? It's illegal. Don't come out here anymore. You come out here again, everybody's going to jail. We're going to come out every night.
They're interviewing them all individually. Do you see him trying to articulate the spectating?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have it because the guy's like, I don't know, I'm just here. That's a perfectly free thing to do, right? My car was broke down. Have a good alibi. Be better at suspecting. We're all just broke down.
I was stuck in traffic. Some idiots were blocking the road up ahead.
Yeah. That, see? I'd cut Juan loose for that. I'd be like, you know what? He's got all this gimbals and camera equipment and lights.
Yeah. There was racing going on. What?
That's funny.
Be like, as soon as I saw lights, I'd be calling 911, be like, hey, there's racing going on over here. I need to report it.
We recovered a few stolen vehicles and motorcycles. We had a subject attempt to flee. We had a taser deployment. We were able to recover some narcotics that was tossed off out of one of the vehicles. That was also part of the unlawful
good on
assembly.
them.
This is just one night. We're gonna keep coming out more frequent. The law.
Yeah, dude. Good stuff. Hey, shout out to Officer 401. This guy's an OG for YouTube cops. This is a 6-year-old video.
Oh, nice.
Let's see.
Officer, is he still doing stuff?
Maybe. Saying what to expect from Police Academy.
That's
This
royalty
intro.
free music if I ever heard it.
That's definitely royalty free.
Hey guys, what's going on? I hope everybody's having a fantastic week so far. As I mentioned in the last video, I wanted to break this up into 3 segments. The first one was last week, and that was the interview process, sponsored by the G Stay on campus, lost environment license, pull back, go back to constitutional law, that fake straggling is going to be a lot of law, a lot of just fun evoc. Day class, you're into all when you're drowning.
Oh, it's just him talking?
After
Okay.
you've already been on.
What to expect from Police Academy. Go watch it if you want to know. I'm not watching him talk the whole time.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do like...
I thought he was going to do like examples or whatever.
He's got the whole series on the different things, like report writing and stuff, but it is all just him talking.
Vigilantes.
I'm looking at him right now. Oh, no, wait, hang on. There's past Police Academy physical conditioning.
He said do better, Keith.
Here,
He does
Josh,
admin stuff in his
this one
department
actually
now.
shows stuff.
Oh, cool. You share it with me?
Oh, wait, never mind. It only shows it at the beginning. Never mind.
Police Academy 2024. I don't know what this is.
Sounds like some sort of 2024 policing academy.
College of something.
Sequoias.
Sequoias? Where's this?
Oh, these look like troopers.
I think this is like California does like those post academies. The state, everybody from different agencies from the state come to the academy and then they go to their agencies.
So, and Bill and I have had this discussion a couple times. I do think that there is a value in having a high stress academy. I do think that, right? However, there's a big delineation between the military world and the law enforcement world, because in the military, you're going to be part of a cog of a machine. You're going to have a very specific task that you need to do no matter what. And the reason they're very high stress, basic training, and then like your MOS schools, the reason why drill sergeants are so mad at you and all this kind of stuff is because you are literally making death and death decisions, right? Like you are going to be in combat arms or in combat situations. The whole function of the military is to go to war with other people, right? Law enforcement is a much more public facing thing. You are going to do more interacting with the public than you're going to be doing warfare stuff, right? Like you're not physically fighting crime most times. You're going to be navigating complex social situations.
It's aggravated customer service.
Literally, right? So my only beef with this design of academy, when you're starting it off this way and they're doing the whole drill sergeant thing and you're just screaming at each other for fun, right? Is it's developing a culture that's going to be a lot more detached from the public. I think that when you're doing PT, which is physical training, I'm all for this. Yell at them, do whatever. When you're doing scenario training, perfectly fine with this. Let it be very confrontational. There's times and places for this. When we do firearms training, you're like, look, dude, if you're getting to the point where you have to use your gun, this is no longer like community policing. Like you're in a fight for your life, or you're having to combat someone trying to do evil. That's when all of that militaristic stuff kind of comes into play. Most of your day-to-day, I think the way that you carry yourself, I think the way that you interact with the public, this does nothing for.
It is probably counterproductive even, because
that's what I was getting
if you're taking the military model for the civilian, I mean, part of the problem coming back from like military deployment is like reintegrating into society as a normal human person in a place that isn't this environment all the time.
That's kind of what I mean.
And you are always in that environment when you are a cop. You're always in just a regular environment with some points where it just goes off the rails.
So, and on the flip side, I think if they're starting the academy this way, and this is the way that they did it with ours, the beginning of the academy, everyone treated you like shit. Like everybody. The janitors would treat you. Actually, we didn't have janitors. We cleaned everything. Like there was the janitorial staff maybe like looked over it, but they did almost nothing. As for we cleaned the bathrooms, we vacuumed the carpets, we put up and took down the flag. Like it was you owned every part of that academy training process, right? And then the longer you were there, the nicer everyone got, because they're like, okay, like we weeded out who doesn't like belong here as far as like attitude or tolerating stress. Like they've done the stress testing portion of it. Now they're trying to see like who can move and shake in casual conversations, who can accomplish law enforcement objectives while seeming more personable. Like I would take somebody that has a higher social aptitude over somebody that's just like an absolute stud muffin, because stud muffin usage time is very, very small compared to, again, talking yourself into a fight. The guy that we always make fun of every time Bill and I go, there was a cop. Great guy. Was a defensive lineman for Baylor. Very athletic dude. Dumber than a bag of hammers. Made a bunch of PC-less arrests, of which got kicked. Like it was not a good set. That's my only beef when I see this, but I don't personally I don't have any issue with it, but there are problems with this model.
Well, I'd like there to be more, because I feel like it's sort of just an accepted bit of culture, but there is always a nagging thing for me of like, is this actually effective, or is this just a tradition that we've been doing for forever? And it's like, is there just another model that we've just never tried because it's like, oh, well, it's too pussy or whatever. But it's like, is this actually getting you the result that you want? Or is it also like, is this necessary because you don't already have a culture of discipline within your country, and would you have a difference? And I'm thinking like the first thought was like the Japanese whatever. It's like, okay, well, if you've already got a culture of discipline within your like schools and in your homes and all that stuff, does this then become necessary, or is this necessary because we're a very independent minded country and therefore all of your people are going to be far more likely to just not listen to anything you say? So you have to berate them until they have no willpower left. And
I will say this, the where the military model works is like understanding your job, maybe understanding authority. They're very strict and diligent about very specific aspects of you. Like you cannot get anything wrong in the military. Doing something wrong is bad and could potentially lead to life-altering things, right? I love that aspect of it. I think there's a physical fitness aspect of it, and like an ability to assert authority that's great to take from that model. But outside of that, like everything else, like there is no chain of command for you typically when you're making use of force decisions, when you're even making patrol decisions. Like, dude, like Keith, after a briefing, how often would you hear from supervisors?
Well, before I actually was a supervisor.
Well, there you go. Well, even as a supervisor, how often would you go check in on your guys? Like it.
My guys, they, I don't know. I would like sneak up on them sometimes.
Sure.
You know, and I just kind of watch them and you know, because we so like my shifts in particular, it was pretty well oiled. A lot of good guys that they knew their job, they did their job, and I really didn't have to worry about them. But yeah, I would check on them, and you know, I'd have to bribe dispatch because they would try to bribe dispatch to find out where I was. You know, so,
you were more bribing.
I'd have to let the dispatchers know, don't y'all rat me out, you
That's
know,
funny.
so get you a pizza party later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would check on them all the time. I never stayed in the office. So, and my academy was nothing like this. I didn't have screaming DIs. I didn't have anything like this.
That's what I mean. I don't see a ton of value in it.
Yeah.
You, get your back straight. What are you looking at? Get your back straight.
Because also just it feels silly. Like you're just yelling at people randomly for no reason.
What the hell is this? Yeah.
What are you looking at? What are you doing? What are you looking at? Get your belt. Hurry up. Get your belt.
She's about to cry.
Now, I will say this. If this is stressful to you, this probably isn't the job for you. Because this is the nicest situation. I'm not going to say the nicest situation, period. There are times in law enforcement where you are going to get the short end of the stick, and it's very unfair. But you cannot get emotionally invested in that unfairness. Like you can't. I make fun of my boss. I have to drive an hour a day every single time I go into the office, right? And this is through the bulk of DFW. And I'm happier than a peach when I come in. I don't care about traffic. I don't care if someone cuts me off. It has no effect on me emotionally. My boss just driving in Plano like is homicidal the whole time. And I was like, why are you taking this personally? I promise you this random Kia that just caught you off just didn't see you. They're not like, oh, I'm gonna ruin Paul's day. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not, the people aren't maliciously trying to, now in policing they will, right? Maliciously go out of their way to try to make you miserable. But like these people care about your well-being. These people are trying to train you. If this is upsetting to you, when they're actually trying to hurt you or hurt your feelings, you're going to take that very poorly. So that's where I do see some value in this, but it would be in small doses.
Also, I do think, though, as you mentioned, in scenario training, this seems like it'd be a lot more useful.
100%.
Than just like, hey, my instructor is who I'm supposed to learn from, or just yelling at me and berating me, and it's for no purpose I can think of.
Bear crawls do suck.
God, that floor's gonna be disgusting too. I'd ask for gloves.
Yeah. Free advice.
Go home with a staph infection on your hands.
Yeah, don't wear Danners unless you're a big old fella, because Danners are heavy.
They are heavy.
If you got big old tree trunk legs, you can get away with Danners. They're great boots, but like heavy. Don't do that to yourself. All these people watching.
I like the audience. All right, I take it back.
I have no problem with hazing. They hazed us all the time, but I was perfectly okay with it.
Why don't you have a belt? Where is your... Don't move!
Have you forgot your belt? You can yell that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, it's cold out here.
Quit running! Swing left! Who are you with? Stop it! This with my eyes closed.
I will say this. That is the weird... So, like, mine was closer to college than it was this, right? But you would go from like getting punched in the face and running and getting yelled at to a PowerPoint like in the same day.
No, I need her to yell at them this PowerPoint. That's what I want.
It's a pretty good time. Yeah, dude.
Keep that level, keep that energy the entire time.
Academy's a weird time. Oh, but policing's that way, to be honest. Like you'd go from like fighting a suspect to like trying to very nicely like finish a report or interviewing like the victim. And you had to go to like pointing a gun at someone's forehead to like politely saying no to the barbecue. Like it's a weird, you need to be able to go back and forth. A good cop can do both.
Mm-hmm.
Learning medical, learning how to not shoot.
Mm-hmm. I hope that was a drone and not just a person walking in front of the guns.
CS is a bad day. Though we didn't have CS in our academy, but I got hit with that after the fact.
There it is.
That's a good
OC?
taste. Oh, that's a good OC deployment.
Oh, are they doing it to each other?
You know what? That's kind of smart.
Yeah.
Because you know what I would do? Is if you don't deploy it well enough, I'd make you get sprayed again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. That's all they're yelling at you this whole time. Open your eyes. Baton strikes while your eyes are closed. Great idea. I know why they do this. I have no beef with it. That's not going to help your girlfriend.
Oh, I want that suit.
Yeah. Bro. Man, where was that lady in my Fistman challenge? I fought nothing but like 300-pound TRT fueled SWAT guys. It sucked. Like this guy, like I would fight this lady. I'd fight this lady right now. I wish. I'm not a... They do this with you guys, Keith. Fistman is what they used to call it. Or Red Man or whatever.
We had the Red Man suit, and I mean, ours was more... It was actually more, I guess, command presence. I mean, because, you know, the human mind, if you come running in and go, you know, officer so-and-so with the police department, they may catch like one word.
Sure.
So, you know, for them, they trained us sheriff's office, stop, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
And you're delivering strikes and, you know, but yeah.
Yeah, I would just APD or whatever. I didn't get into the whole spiel, but I would make that a little bit more second nature to you. What I don't like about this is in no universe should you be fighting a dude standing up with a baton in your hand. Like, that's what I didn't like. I watched Dallas PD go through a very similar exercise. They just had some enormous, like, the mountain-sized dude. He's like a 7-foot tall officer, right? In a Fistman suit, just fighting a bunch of kids, basically. And they were recruits, but I was like, are they learning anything here? There is some aspect of learning how to be aggressive. That was the hardest thing for me to learn. I don't like hurting people. To this day, I don't take any pleasure in doing it. And even on patrol, the worst day of my life, the suspect I liked the least, it still did not feel good to hurt somebody. I had to learn how to not turn off that part of my brain, but to realize that if I want to be safe doing the job, you have to be a certain level of aggressive. Like there has to be violence has to be applied, right?
Yes, it does.
But like in this exercise, outside of that mindset, you're not really learning anything here. Like it's a dead rep, basically. Like, you know what I mean? Like just gotta swat at your legs.
Yep.
But that's old school training.
I think they're teaching them that hitting them with the baton is not effective.
Yeah. I do like, bro, EVOC's always kind of cool. Emergency vehicle operations. We were a plain language department, so we used a lot less acronyms, but it is faster. Oh, they gave them pads? Must be nice, dog. They would just make us do it. They didn't get shit.
On the concrete in Texas summer?
Yeah, dude. It's a bad day. Wear pants. That's why I'm a proponent for pants on patrol. Why? Why? I don't understand. Why?
Old boy who forgot his belt's going to ND here.
So this is what's called a line inspection, right? And typically in a line inspection, you would approach, we had to do these even on patrol. We didn't do them in Class A's, but our line inspections, we would download our gun, right? So you'd like...
That's a deep cut, Dan. I think like 300 people have seen that video. Like that's a deep
bubble
cut.
Gummy. We would just download our gun and leave it in the holster. And they would check our serial number to make sure that we actually had our issued pistol with us. But like, they were mostly just checking. Again, they were catching me with expired OC, or they would see if you're like equipment was tore up or whatever, but like this type of line inspection to me seems stupid.
I was never issued a pistol. It was
Really? You bought all your own?
Yeah,
Or they gave you like a
bought all
stipend
my own.
for it?
Yeah, they gave us. It was, if I remember it, it was like 120, 150, I think, towards the purchase of. You know, you had to come up with the res because you could write off your gun. So,
So,
pretty
but
fun
if
like
you
that.
could, so I guess you could carry whatever you could qualify with, or did they have some standards for that?
We had a list. We had a list of preferred manufacturers and per calibers.
This just seems dumb from a safety standpoint. I mean, you're trusting them to carry the thing, so it really shouldn't be that big of an issue. But while they're in academy, like, seems weird. It's kind of a rad truck.
Slick.
That was a nice truck.
Jelly.
So, see, they also have their guns with the slide locked back in a lot of these. We weren't given our gun and our badge to keep until we were commissioned police officers. Which, once we got our commission, we only had, like, I think 2 weeks left in academy, and we were allowed to, because at that point, you were police officers. You took the oath and the whole nine. You weren't on patrol yet, and most of it was, like, administrative stuff. I think we had a couple of more, like, DT sessions and whatever, but, like, most of it was, like, take your TLETs and make sure that you have, like, legal updates and how to use your body cam. Like, weird stuff like that is what we took, like, the last 2 weeks. But the guns went back every single time because they weren't yours yet. You hadn't earned them. This is weird. Oh no, some of them got red guns. That's weird. College of Sequoias. That's a weird.
So it's California. I don't know. Google it and then
you guys got some weird stuff going on there.
Visalia, California. Yeah.
This looks like troopers.
So it is part of like a community college, I guess, or they do it at the community college. I'm surprised they don't like check the angle. Oh, there
He
is.
did.
He did. Yeah, they need a protractor to just be like,
I hate Class A's. So I guess this is the hat you have when you're in academy, and the trooper hats like you've graduated. I was a local kid, so I didn't wear a hat ever. This meant nothing to me. But I do think if this has the same level of symbolism as like your badge, then I can understand the value of it. But that was kind of rad to get your badge and everything. Being a cop is way less cool, but that day was kind of neat. What is this? Park Police Academy. Got more academies here.
State Park Police.
Oh, no way.
It's this
respect.
I wonder if it's the name of the city or if it's like an actual park police.
I think it's in New York State.
Endeavor to join an exclusive
So
profession.
I guess it's
that
like they're
exemplifies these values.
I felt the calling.
The respect
What's
for
our
that
game
green
and
screen.
teach me to
Wow.
push myself
Doing great.
These transitions.
Harder than I thought I could. To be a member of a respected team.
Love that fluorescent
Part
lighting.
of something bigger than myself.
To protect and
Directly
serve people
overhead.
we like.
It'd be a rewarding job to work in the parks. I wanted to serve others. Try to make
Definitely don't want to see their
better place, work in a
faces, just their foreheads.
Start in a few minutes. They're
How
going
do
to
they-
develop their knowledge, and they're going to develop their skill base.
This is going to be stressful. It's going to be in your face. I'm not sure what you were told about the academy before you got here.
You need to yell at them more.
Okay?
This is a little too
It's going to be stressful.
There's a
Look
reason
at your
for it.
face.
We're going to test you
What are you looking at?
tonight and every night and every
Oh, they're
day,
like covering
and every
like
afternoon
the individual
that you're here.
kiddos. That's
There's a
kind of
reason
interesting.
for the stress that we're going to put on you. We have to see if you can handle it. Because if you can't handle this, how are you going to handle it out in the field?
I do
Our
agree with that
job
sentiment.
is a type of a police job where it goes from 0 to 60 just like that.
We'll be a state park police.
Oh, they get like barracks?
Yeah. This is definitely not.
That's 100% copyrighted. I thought
Yeah.
it was like a off-brand version of the thing,
It's definitely copyrighted.
but they're literally just
I just recognized it there. at the
a
last
government agency unlicensed use of music.
second. I'd be pissed. I haven't seen a lot of yelling here.
Do not stand in the doorway. Smart. You think they test them on that if they stand in a doorway while they're going in? Yeah, he's standing in the doorway right now. Yeah, I knew it. Didn't listen to instructions. Idiot.
More music, dog.
Idiot.
How dare you stand in our doorway?
Ever.
She's not yelling very loud though.
They're just giving outside.
They're just giving him lip.
Mm-hmm. One person gives instructions.
Yeah, no kidding.
Teaching him bad habits. This is why he doesn't understand. This is why he's stood in the doorway.
Pang your Ted. I'm reading this time. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a terribly serious person. I got smoked a few times for smiling. I was like, I got very good at push-ups. I have a hard time taking you serious because this is not a serious situation. Like I am not a good like rules for rules sake kind of person. If they make sense, I have no problem with them. Like if I can see the logical path forward. And like I was pretty lucky as an adult. I came a lot older into it. So like I understood the stress portion of it. I was never upset that they were subjecting us to it because I was like, yeah, it's just gonna be a stressful job. Versus like the younger guys, like it was all ego for them. And I was like, bro, who are you? Like you need to chill. And even again, we had not a Green Beret. He was an Army Ranger. And he was like, dog, they're being kind of nice to us. This could be way worse. Bro, check out this digital camera. Let's see.
If
Still got music on. Still with it.
They're just looping it.
Oh no. Yep, still music. They got to put it back together.
Oh, so okay. So like while they're gone, they mess it up.
Yeah. I truly do not understand drill in policing at all. You will never do marching as a police officer ever. You don't do formation runs. You don't move as a big cohesive unit. I'll never understand this. I think it's a big waste of time. You could be learning infinitely more important things than how to do a left. And I was in marching band in high school, so most of this was easy. If anything, they got mad because I made it look weird because I did it correctly. In the military, I get it, especially if you're in infantry because you do like have to make a certain distance in a certain amount of time. But like, this is dumb. I won't take that back either. I hope y'all see this. Well, he doesn't understand the pride of our national parks. Depends on it. You know,
we're park rangers.
Park
the thing is, if the
rangering.
bears don't see you in formation, then they can spot weaknesses in your line.
They're learning how to light flare. Every time I see this, it cracks me up. They gotta fill your whole day, I guess. Keith, how long was your training block for how to light a flare?
That was probably my first day on patrol. The lieutenant I was working with that first night, he just, okay, you ever lit a flare? No, here you go.
I was
schooled.
I read the instructions on the flare. I opened my trunk and I was like, oh, I have road flares. And I was like, I should probably use these. And after that, they're a blast. I probably burned through thousands of dollars worth of road flares.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was never hit by a car, so shout out to that. Okay, this is all gonna have music, so we're gonna stop watching this.
I was really hoping they'd show us like anything in the wilderness, into a state park.
Anything, yeah. Don't be copyright. How dare you? Oh no, it was the mid-90s.
All right, let's see if I
this. What is
trying to remember how to do his drills.
I'm back. You can tell by the thumbnail. Today we're going to be highlighting two. I think it would be pretty cool if you guys. Let's check
Is he their
out
PR guy?
the new ghosted Tahoe.
Probably.
What a rad gig.
Wow. Really, Nick? How about we talk about the car?
All right, let's do it.
Hey, everybody. I'm Lieutenant Carpenter. I'm the Traffic Enforcement Commander for the City of Miami Police Department.
Traffic enforcement for a city department. Deputies, I'll give a pass because they do a lot of highway stuff. Stadies, I'll give a pass because they do highway stuff. But if you're city, you're part of the traffic division.
Isn't he DUI? At least that's what it said on the side of the car.
That's what I mean, but he had the boots of someone that rides two-wheeled implements, and I think they're all dumb.
And what is this lovely vehicle doing behind you?
Well, this is the latest and greatest from Traffic.
It's kind of rad
Enforcement
looking,
Unit.
though.
This is our
That
new
actually
ghost
looks pretty cool.
Vehicle for DUI enforcement.
We're going to talk all about the vehicle today.
I
You're
like
going to
the
get
lights.
the tour, the outside, the inside, the science behind it, the thoughts behind it, because it's a whole
I
process.
think they made him
correct?
wear his Class
It was.
A's.
This is about a year in the making.
And it's
It
designed
does look like Pitbull a
all the
little
way
bit.
down to the detail.
Oh, they say he looks like Pitbull. Dale! Jacob! Oh my God.
Let's have a look at the outside, shall we?
Let's do it. So let's start over here with the front of the vehicle. You're going to see a lot of City of Miami Police Tahoes. We're transitioning over to the Tahoes right now.
We did the
So
same
this is going to
thing.
be a little different variation of them. We've customized that.
This cost the taxpayer $10,000 more per vehicle.
Everything on this Tahoe is separate from the patrol vehicle. So we'll start over here in the front. All the lights are integrated. They're also ghosted out to keep the theme of the car. So most of the time, if the lights aren't on, you won't even know they're there. There's some lights over here. You'll see some lights on the side that are also kind of hidden, blended in with the black of the suit tires on it. We'll keep moving down the line here. You'll see another integrated kind of ghost light. That's 3M. Well, I believe it.
If we're wrong,
Miami,
I
the
had to catch
regular
him
patrol vehicles.
in like the Arlington blue, like the Arlington blue I started off with was like Crayola blue. Like there wasn't no hiding that patrol car. The newer ones we went with like more of a navy blue and it looked less obvious, but like the big old light bar and you know, the big white, because we had white doors. The big old white doors that said Arlington Police on them, like it wasn't hiding nothing. It was the most like overtly cop cars out there. We used to call them our little Smurf mobiles, our little Smurf cars.
Which just have the lines that go straight across.
got a little bit of the similar elements, a little seal. We got talked about. We're gonna take right
around the vehicle. Up core of the traffic enforcement unit is.
Oh, look at how much space you got inside of those.
And they are the ones that go out and do all.
Guys, objectively are idiots. Marked two-wheeled conveyances meant to stop. This is a step up from stopping a vehicle with your body and a step down from using a car. So it's like a weird middling now, but I will say this. If you are as skilled as those dudes in Brazil, good more power to you. Because those guys were pretty rad. These guys are likely, I've seen like the tryouts for this or like the competitions they do. It's pretty rad. These guys are pretty good at riding motorcycles. I just think it's like from a safety standpoint, you wouldn't catch me dead on a motorcycle. Especially as a cop.
All the traffic enforcement for the majority of the unit.
It's clean as fuck, I'm not gonna lie.
Behind there is, even though they don't have the ghosted graphics like this car, most of the time you see a motorcycle or a police motorcycle, you don't know it's a police motorcycle until you get close. And I think that's the
Are you kidding me, dude? I think any motorcycle that looks like that's a police motorcycle.
Yeah, those like big bodies.
Half the time they're not, but if it's a motorcycle that looks even slightly not like a dirt bike,
this is a sin. If it, and mind you, it's not a marked vehicle, so I get it. But a car that you were tasking with doing patrol activities should be able to transport prisoners. Period. Or suspects, should I say? They're not prisoners, but suspects. Keith, am I off base?
No, sir.
and I bet you deputies across the board don't have vehicles like that because like everyone there's doing some level of patrol function.
Yeah, all of our cars had cages, and so yeah, very few. Other than like our detectives units were pretty much the only ones that didn't have cages, but
our
fleet had cages.
Yeah, our supervisor cars typically didn't. They never transported. If they were working a call, something bad happened. But I did know supervisors that would pull like off shift cars so that they could work calls and actually take people into custody. And I respected that. Not all of them, but some of them.
Having a billboard around the city, right?
For sure,
People
yeah.
know, hey, that's a cop right there. I'm going to be on my best behavior.
Yep.
Whereas this
Right.
ghosted, blending in, you might be able to see things that might not happen around you when you're driving in a marked unit.
For sure, the ultimate goal.
I'm not putting dirty suspects in this minty white whip.
Or when you're driving by the police
Part of it is to be a deterrent.
Oh, once they
You know,
see the ghosted,
to
That-
be
that's-
marked and to be a visible deterrent to
Yeah.
people doing stupid stuff. So
That's my beef. I just don't if I'm gonna pay as a taxpayer, right? And this is city, so this is all coming from you, right? There's very few state stipends for this. I don't know, 60K, 70K, maybe 80K for this vehicle to get the police package and the decals and whatever. And I'm now gonna pay a police lieutenant in Miami is probably making six figures to not be a deterrent for crime. I mean, he's pulling people over. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's not function to it, but like, be able to
caught the same amount of them with a marked unit because nobody's paying enough attention. People he's catching are not paying attention.
I was
enough
gonna say, like,
to
dude,
care.
we in a marked
As
unit.
the person that he's pulling over, believe me, they were very obviously police, and I saw them, and they
Yeah.
still got me.
Yeah.
So
Like, it's not complicated.
vehicle in exactly.
So
That's my
in
beef.
in the mid '90s, Kilgore, just east of us, out there, Kilgore, Texas, they tried this program where every officer in Kilgore, I believe, had a take-home unit. And what they would do is they would encourage them, even if on your days off, you go grocery shopping, you take your city car.
Yeah.
Kilgore looked like there for a few years was sat there were cops all over the
Just
place.
cops everywhere, yeah.
On their day off, going to pick up their laundry.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, they would use their city units in their personal time too. And this was encouraged. This was pretty much a command from the city to go ahead, the PD to go ahead and do it, and just have cars out there all the time.
Yeah.
It was such a trip.
Kilgore
I'm not sure.
Rangers.
I don't think it lasted very long. It lasted maybe a year or two.
Yeah,
but-
I was gonna say the only downside is I guarantee you, like wear and tear on the vehicles went up a lot, and then gas is very expensive. And I know it was a thing for us. They were making us in the summer turn our cars off because we would idle them all the time because we wanted the AC to run because we had to get back in them. And they were getting mad because they were measuring, and in newer cars you could measure idle time versus driver time. And they were like, dude, we are idling for like 70% of the engine life on these cars, right? Because they would just sit on scene or they would sit somewhere, right? Especially for city cops. Like, we don't drive nearly as much mileage-wise. And so an engine would have the same amount of runtime as a car with like 180,000 miles at like 50,000 miles. Kind of the same thing. So they got onto us about that. Because they have to pay for the gas in these cars, right? So there's a catch-22 to it, but I think visibility is more important, especially to tax. You're paying. I live in a city where there's only 2 cops on duty at all times, and I never see them ever. You would assume there were no police officers in my city, and I guarantee you crime is higher because of that. I can guarantee you that. If it wasn't for Ring cameras, we wouldn't capture any of the crime that occurred because there's just no one there to do it. And at the very minimum, there's no like threat of it.
All the time.
Let's see how this thing works.
There's a median, but it's to turn both directions. So this gentleman decided to enter into that median about 3 blocks back that way. And the problem with that is he went against traffic. So the people that were trying to turn into, say, Wendy's here or Don Camarón, they have a left turn lane there where he's going against that traffic. And that's dangerous. If somebody would have...
That's called poor city planning. I hate those lanes. Those like 2-way turn lanes.
Suicide lanes.
I was going to say they're called suicide lanes in more places.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't like those. That's poor city
on the left side
planning.
of here into that traffic, they could have had an accident. So we're stopping him, and obviously he passed us because he didn't see that this was a marked police vehicle. All right, sir. License, registration back. So listen, I'm going to cut you a break on the going against traffic thing, okay? However, as the operator of a vehicle, you do need to have proof of insurance at all times for your vehicle that you're driving.
He's not cutting you a break.
If you can get a copy of the insurance, you said it's your mom, right? Get a copy of the insurance from your mom, and you can set this to court, and they'll take the ticket away as long as the insurance was valid at the time of this.
Texas, it's like a $400 ticket, dude.
You know, it's just more of what we call a compliance ticket. It makes sure that
I
you
didn't
do have
issue
insurance
those
and your
ever.
car isn't.
That's shitty.
Yeah, it is a stormtrooper car. I'm here in elementary school. A bunch of kids run up and screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy!" to my car. So
notice the liners up here. As we move down here, you're going to see.
Pretty. 10, it usually doesn't ride with a cage, but are all the cars in the DUI squad without a cage?
Yes, they are.
Why?
Why the hell?
If you were going for a DWI investigation, the likelihood that that person goes to jail is like 90%. The amount of traffic stops we did that were not DWI investigations was a lot. I mean, most of mine were for safety violations. So this is like I worked nights for the most part. So this is not having taillights, not having headlights, really dangerous or like really weird looking driving behavior. So like they would go to turn and then not turn, and they would like cross the center line multiple times. And I was like, please don't be drunk. Please, God, don't be drunk. But like the second I realized it was a DWI, or like a DWI unit would be like, there's a bar down the street from where this police officer stopped them. They would jump the call. If they were there, they were transporting. They were doing the investigation and then transporting that suspect. So patrol could go answer domestics or work accidents and all that other stuff. Like,
So they make the contact officer transport.
That's so dumb.
But then what is the purpose of having...
Yeah, why be a DWI officer?
Well, or why even? I mean, if you're not
Why
going
have
to
the
transport,
SUV?
because you're
Yeah.
a DWI officer, maybe don't train. Why have an SUV? Put him in a standard ass patrol car. Put him in a coupe that's super cheap.
Put him in a
back to your
two-door.
stupid little motorcycle.
Yeah, go
You
back.
can't transport
Yeah.
anybody in that motorcycle. You're effectively the
Anything.
same.
Yeah.
This seems like well, you're a lieutenant. Let's reward you with a bougie car and make other people do all the work. Like, I don't know what the purpose is.
I'm sorry if I'm biasing people. Bring back the Caprice. Yeah, I'm here for the Caprice. Yeah, this is really stupid to have. Because like the reason why we moved to Tahoes was individual officers. We all made our own arrests. We all transported our own. We all had like our own equipment that we had to bring. So this is rifles. This is go bags. This is medical. This is road flares, cones, so we kept all of this stuff. Oh, step bro. He said, Merry Birthmas.
And Harpy Luke Deer.
I'm having, thank you
happy
to
Luke Deer to you too.
Thank you to the wife. I'm having over easy eggs on hash browns with cheese.
You're having breakfast for dinner?
It's the best way to do it.
That's wild.
Kaden, what's going on, child?
Are you drunk? Because that's the best way to do
it. But anyways, we had to have a lot of equipment on us, and we ran out of space oftentimes. And so people would start to have to put some of that equipment in their back seat, where you're supposed to be moving suspects, right? Or your front seat was so unruly when people would have to, like, let's say you got in a foot chase and you had to jump into someone's car, you would end up dumping some of their stuff out to jump in. And so to make it easier to ride two-man, in a lot of those units, we got Tahoes because the trunk space was so much bigger. And like we arrested a lot of big suspects. So like we had more space to arrest one big person, but also two people a lot more safely and without having causing injury to the people that we were arresting. So like this is stupid.
This is going to be primarily a backup vehicle. So if an officer stops somebody that might be impaired, then they're going to call the DUI squad. And the DUI squad
and that
goes
person
out there,
should arrest them.
performs the test, does the DUIs, but then they got to go on to the next one. So the officer that made the primary stop is going to be the one that ends up transporting that individual.
I think we should move to what's special
That's
about
dumb.
this car. The junk in the trunk.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Reduces time for processing and
they
arrest.
got a
Okay, that's kind of rad.
Full on. Yeah.
That's kind of rad.
But you could have that in a cage. And transport your own damn suspect. After
So-
your brother, because also like, okay, so then you do that and then move on to the next person, and then what, you just leave the report with all of your evidence from the breathalyzer and stuff, you leave with that? Or what do you, is that
My
print out
guess-
like a little receipt? What
My
does it do?
guess is that officer, the arresting officer at this point, which would be the contact officer, would say reference that DWI supplement for why I had PC to arrest. That this officer that's running around doing the breathalyzer, right, is conducting the DW. A DWI unit is going to be the specialist. They can also tell if you've been like impaired with marijuana, which is a very different set of skills and things that you're looking for. So these guys probably write the supplemental report for, well, the suspect presented in front of me, right, failed all these tests, and then I ran him through the intoxilizer, of which I'm a subject matter expert on how to run. And they're just jumping from call to call as they described. That makes some sense, but I'm still salty about it.
Arrestee, as well as we don't have to transport that arrestee somewhere else to do the processing.
So if it wasn't back here, where do you take him?
We'd have to go to the station, take
Yes.
somebody to the station and use one of the instruments at the stations.
Which takes a lot of time.
Definitely takes a lot longer. So as we move around here, we've got the printer mounted in here, and as we come around the corner, you're gonna see an inverter there. You might have to get a tight shot of that. So that 5,000 watt inverter there, that's gonna provide the electrical for the intoxilizer here, a whole separate electrical system that runs off a separate battery that is mounted just in front of that. And what that does is it allows us to not depend on the vehicle for any electrical systems or any power. This provides its own power and its own DC to AC converter there that gives us electricity to the intoxilizer, which makes us impervious to any kind of variations from the vehicle's alternator or any electrical glitches that we might have to deal with.
And that's important when you go to court and you have to explain
Lawyers try to
that,
get mad about
because
it.
That's something that maybe somebody on the defense would argue against. Like, hey,
say,
I'm less mad. They have a reason for it.
Maintain the police order of the road. More in the channel. We're checking.
In general, I find it stupid, but okay. We addressing this?
I don't know. We're still pretty early. Do we not have? Is that all the videos we had?
That's all I had.
Really? Could have sworn we had more. That's crazy.
Chat, am I
guess
missing
so,
stuff?
'cause we got nothing else going on.
Nope. Okay. We're going to have a very concise discussion about this. This is Sonia Massey. It's a shooting involving this lady here. The OIS itself, I think, was a little more in the gray than a lot of people realize if it's articulated, depending on how it's articulated. However, there was a failure of stuff coming up to it, and that's really what we're going to discuss. I think in general, guy's probably he is getting charged for murder. And I have no beef with that, to be honest.
I think it's fair.
But my argument's more on the line of how it started. It's kind of like if I stood in front of, like I'm jumping in front of the car and then shooting the car. It's a very similar set of circumstances where I'm creating the circumstances to make a use of force happen. And I'm going to lose qualified immunity from that because like I can't like hand him my ankle gun and then shoot him. Like you can't do that. Leading up to this portion of the video, we're seeing like the actual, believe this is the primary officer, the officer that did the shooting itself. His perspective here. This lady was seated on the couch, which is a smart way of doing a interview. Believe this.
Are we not watching the beginning of it, or
we can if you want. I'd skip to this just so I could see it, but we can watch.
I think it's important to watch the beginning of it because the lead up, like you're saying, is kind of the important portion of it into why this went so poorly.
So I wonder,
and why
did they
he's
give
being
us?
charged
Did
for
they
murder.
give us why they got?
She called the police because she said there was somebody.
Was it possible
around her
prowler?
house. Yeah.
So she's the current victim of a potential prowler in the or at least a complainant, right?
Yeah, and I have complaints about
how the interview went.
Both how they, the interview that they do, how they talk to her, kind of this sort of half-assed investigation they do here.
Let's see this.
And then, a couple of things.
Is this your car over here? Is this your car over here? Oh. That's not your black car in the driveway? Oh, well, we checked your yard, we walked around the whole block, we didn't see anybody. We don't. We checked the whole area, there's nobody out walking around.
I know, y'all. Please, God. I'm trying to get help, y'all, but...
What do you need help with?
Nothing. I just... Please, God. I don't know what to do.
Do with what?
Huh?
What do you need help with?
Nothing. I just wanted to see if I could help me.
What do you want help with?
Huh?
What do you want help with?
I heard somebody outside.
Yeah, we checked your house. We checked your backyard. I walked all the way through all these backyards. We checked your front yard.
We didn't see nobody.
Yeah,
So.
nobody's out here.
I'll be honest. Having dealt with a lot of people that have mental health needs, right? MHMR, she's got a lot of indications that she's clearly under some sort of like long-term chronic mental health issue. This is going to be, given the speech pattern, it's not autism. This is more along the lines of something like schizophrenia. Because autism, they're not really going to struggle with articulating themselves. They just might articulate weird stuff. She's in this weird, constant, like loop of saying the same things. You can see it in like really severe autism. Again, it's a spectrum. I hate the label because it's not really fair to how broad we can apply that label. Autism could just be socially awkward all the way to almost schizophrenic, right? That like you get obsessed about certain things, you love trains or whatever. In this instance, you have somebody that complained about something. I investigated it. I told her we didn't see anything. I've provided whatever law enforcement objective I can, and that's I am guaranteeing that she is not the victim of a crime of getting stalked or whatever. You're clearing to 6. Ma'am, please stay inside. We're going to be out here. This is done. This call's done already. I bet you Keith's probably standing here like, dog rookie. Like, what are we doing, dog? We got calls to answer, like...
Also, a homeboy that we're looking at here on the right does not have his body cam on.
Oh, at all?
Most of this until after the shooting, he turns it on.
Sussy.
Yeah,
it was our policy. We had to have it on the whole time, but doesn't help you.
Yeah, I don't know if he forgot or if they'd only have a policy that only one officer has to have it on, which would be, to me, that's dumb because that really severely limits
its
your available
evidentiary
information and footage.
value.
Yeah, especially because you'll see he wanders off. We have no clue what was said when this officer goes into the house with her. We don't know. I have no clue why he goes in at all on a thing where they basically said, we saw nothing, there is nothing. Let's just go.
That is weird.
You didn't see anybody?
Nope. Check the whole
I also
area.
love the fireworks going off in the
It
background.
took you so long to answer the door.
Oh, I was trying to put on some clothes, sir. I'm sorry. I was trying to get...
I got you. All right. Is there anything else we can do for you?
Huh?
Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right.
We're gone.
Cool.
Doing all right?
And then call is done.
Sure.
Check 10-8.
We leave.
All right.
She goes back inside.
All right. That's not your black car, though. That's SUV.
Stop asking. What does
Who
it have to
cares?
do to protect? Now, hear me out. If there's a potential lurker and it's not her car and it's parked in front of her house, maybe they run the registration. She's already said multiple times this black car is not hers. Maybe you're running the registration. Maybe you're trying to see who the person it belongs to, whatever. That should have been done before you talked to her. But like, hey, do you know Sam Smith or whatever it is? Like, no? Okay, that's kind of weird. Let's look him up in the system. Have we arrested him before? So on and so forth. Car had a broken window. Depending on where this is, that's pretty normal.
Based on the look of the house, that's probably
I worked in a real ghetto area. A broken window was not reasonable suspicion of shit.
Well, and not even like you don't even have to be in the ghetto. I worked at just a building in the apartment complex across the street. Like it was a very nice apartment complex, but because of that, constant car break-ins.
Yeah.
Because the gate wasn't great, and it was very easy to jump, and people would just break in. They steal really nice stuff from the really expensive cars.
Yeah, and you can tell pretty quickly if you put your thinking cap on a window that's been broken for a long time, because you'll start to see like rain or you'll see like dirt inside of the vehicle. Where like if it was freshly broken, the vehicle would look relatively pristine compared to the outside condition of the car. There's some stuff you can do, but that requires experience and expertise.
Whose is it?
Run it. You'll find out. Run the VIN.
They brought it to my driveway.
And just left it?
Yeah, let's run that.
Yeah. 19, I got a 20 clear.
Does anyone else live here with you?
This I don't have any beef with. Like you said, if they should have done it before, should have done it.
Yeah, that's like parked in there too. Like that's in the driveway of the driveway. Oh, look at this! Look at this grass. It's like bushes. Bro, dispatch taking a hot minute to accept this license plate. Some guy's on the radio right now. I'm gonna get off my lunch break
and this is where I'm like, why are you going in? Because we didn't hear any of the portion where there was any reason for him to go in. Now it might be he's like, get your ID.
I have no beef with the secondary officer doing some, like, now that we're in the house, like, I'm going to go ahead and look around and make sure that this is like a safety
This gives
suite.
me huge mental health red flags everywhere, though. That it's a hoarder house.
Hello? Yeah, I got the sheriff department here, but I was calling for help from y'all. They're here in my house.
So, free advice, if you're ever dealing with people that have mental health issues and they're calling someone, talk to that person. That's going to give you a lot more information than these people likely will. NCIC is down. I'll add it to your call. Grant, that hurt me in a special place. Bro, NCIC went down for everything, dude. Fucking squirrel. I don't know how they keep that database or how that gets articulated, but it's the worst.
Right now.
So Emu says she's actually talking to an officer at the moment.
On the phone? Oh.
Because I think she called.
Oh, I wonder if that's.
And then called cops, and then.
I wonder if that's like a. We had an MHMR department, like portion of our department. We had mental health liaisons. I think it's what they called them. And those officers, they kept like a short list of the people that were in certain areas of operation that were going to be frequent flyers because of mental health reasons, right? So like,
that's a smart idea.
It's brilliant, right? Because like I knew, and I'll just call her Rachel. Rachel, if I didn't tell her that her ponies were pretty and that she was pretty and the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life, she was gonna fight you. 10 out of 10, like her life depended on it. All you had to do was say. Pick a pony, say it was beautiful, say that she was the most beautiful woman in the world and the most compliant person in the world. But if you didn't say that, like kicking officers downstairs, trying to jump out of the window, trying to cut herself with the one like plastic knife that they allowed in her apartment, like it got wild. And so like I might know that because I deal with the chick all the time, but I just happen to get a backup officer or we're busy, so someone from another side of town has to work that call. Yeah, and we would also like take it upon ourselves to add call notes. So like there's a certain location they would know Rachel lives here. Reference this call. Rachel can be very combative under these criteria. Be prepared for that. I'm not saying that's a failure of anybody here to take notes or to provide context. This is why good recording systems and reporting systems are important, and not being a lazy son of a bitch. If you're a cop and you work a complicated situation, warn other cops because they will likely have to deal with that person again. Just don't be lazy. Like policing is not a space for that because obviously the consequences could be dire. That's what.
Okay.
You can hang out.
For what? Just 1 second, okay?
That poor guy. So she's not the suspect of anything right now. She's just a reporting person.
What's up?
It is weird that they're in here.
Bible, please.
Yeah. Hey, I just need your name so we can get out of here. Was there any damage previous to your car?
Previous, yeah, it was.
Okay, what was the damage?
A dent, I believe.
What about windows?
Oh, it was something that happened earlier.
Okay, perfect. What is your last name? Should not think about your last name. You're not in trouble.
Do we need the last name? I bet this is probably a policy thing that they're trying to get her fully identified. Now, normally it is a good idea to get the person you're having contact with fully identified, but I think it's like it's like a time for me. It's a time on call thing, right? So I'm going to spend a lot of time doing this investigative stuff, but I'm not really going to have any law enforcement objective outside of maybe note keeping, right? Which I think is fine. But what were we going to say?
Well, could you not have done this on the porch though?
Agreed.
If you're
but
just
like,
going to get it verbally from her,
so
I mean, just
but let's say
it might
she
still take you a long time because it's going to.
If she walks inside, they went in after her. I don't have too much of a beef with that. Like if they're like, "Well, come inside and I'll give you my name" or whatever. She volunteered them to be in there. It's whatever.
Well, I just need to
Massey.
Huh?
Massey.
Do you have an ID? That'd make things so much easier. I just need just driver's license will do, and then I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
I will get your paperwork.
What paperwork?
I got some paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first.
An address doesn't always give you the person who lives there. You might be able to dig up like public record, like who owns the house, but that'll typically only give you a first and last name. That's not going to give you a date of birth and like first and last name in a country of like what are we like 300 million people or something crazy, like probably more. We have a lot of people here. It's just not specific enough to know who you were contacting.
One task at a time here.
Okay.
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You just in that stack right there, maybe?
1 second.
Just check on her.
Let me get this.
We don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Let me see.
So I don't know why you would let her go in the kitchen by herself.
Huh?
Because you could just turn off
Water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
the thing yourself.
Huh? You better fucking not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in your fucking face.
Can hot scalding water be used as a weapon? Yes. I'm not going to say no, but yes, it could be. But like, so there's currently not a crime being committed, right? I had this conversation with somebody about a resisting charge recently, and we're watching SWAT. I was responding to a SWAT question. And it was where they charged a kid for just resisting. They're like, oh, it's resisting. And I was like, there has to be a requisite crime for resisting to apply. He's like, well, what about with violence? And I'm like, yeah, with violence. You don't get to say they're resisting from violence if they're not committing a crime, because I'm not allowed to use force on them unless it's affecting an arrest or affecting a detention, right? And in this instance, like, let's say she retrieves, let's say she picks up a gun. I'll make this a very easy equation, right? Is having a gun in your house illegal? And is it going to be considered brandishing if I'm in my own house? There's legal precedence for this, right? That like, no, because I'm just in my house. Now, if you go and point it at officers while they're there, they have the right to go and defend themselves. But like, simply being in possession of it doesn't now allow me to just sit there and dominate the space and do whatever. I know it might be a knee-jerk reaction for law enforcement to do it, but like, in this instance, even if she was carrying something more egregious than a boiling hot thing of water, your use of force ladder, what am I using force to achieve? Like scene security? Is this a scene of a crime? This is effectively a consensual contact at this point. And I'm now leveraging force to try to, I guess, affect a detention or create scene security or whatever. Like, it's a weird... This is why we harp so much on PC, and why, like, I specifically want to know an articulable offense, because if I don't have it, the eventuality that force might come of the situation's always high. You are bringing a gun to every encounter you have. And there's always going to be some... Even literally, officer presence is the first rung of the ladder for use of force. Technically, my presence alone is a threat, because I carry the known knowledge that I strip people from the street and put them in jail, right? So that's kind of my beef with... Normally the game, let's say she's got a knife, right? You're an academy. I'm going to present you with this exact same problem. Tactics say, get out of the house. Because currently I have no hostages, right? And distance is my friend. So firearm present or not, I would literally just let them be a barricaded person. I don't care, because it takes the stress and the burden off of me to have to make a decision. And it basically nullifies whatever offensive capability they have. Even now, let's say it's an empty pot. There's no water, no nothing. She could still chuck the thing at me, right? I would rather have that encounter where I have time and distance on my side rather than trying to have that discussion right then and there. So that's kind of that's the two big issues I have here on that. One, why you're making the lady, and maybe she got up on her own. In that instance, I didn't hear or it didn't sound terribly overt that he was like, hey, go turn it off yourself.
So
he could have done
did
it.
say go turn it off. So go back a few seconds because he does say we don't want to have a fire here.
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You have that stack right there, maybe?
Okay.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
That pot is going.
So he says we don't need a fire while we're here, and has her go get it. I feel like this version skips that part because if you'll notice, go back, it sort of it like jump cuts back a little more from here, and then he goes to the pot of water.
1 second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
I didn't feel jump cut at all. She just stood up when he turned. She just stood up and walked around him. That's kind of what I mean is I don't know. I don't know that he said it or not, but typically, and Keith and I actually talked about this off camera. Let's say I do have a crime, right? And this is all going to be eventually a justified use of force. Just from a tactic standpoint, if I'm going to be in someone's house, I'm at least going to give a verbal, hey, maybe don't go that way, right? Now, if in this instance, they can't really control her movement because you don't have you don't have a detention here. Truly, you don't. In the same way, I couldn't. Let's say Juan is open carrying, right? And in Texas would be perfectly legal. I can't, just because I'm standing in line with Juan, disarm him, right? I'm a fully uniformed officer on duty, and I don't like that Juan's got a Philadelphia Eagles jersey on, right? And he's an Eagles fan, and he's got a gun. Like, I can't, for fun, go up and disarm him and say it's for officer safety reasons. Now, if I have... Right. Now, Juan decides to jaywalk, I can disarm him all I want. Right? Because now I have a detention and I'm affecting scene safety because me disarming him is a use of force. I'm dispossessing him of something that's his without his consent, and I don't need his consent. If he resists that, I 100% have all the ability, the lawful authority to use force to dispossess him of that. Right? And you have the scene security precedents and all that stuff. Because there's no detention here, I get why he doesn't maybe physically stop her from getting in the kitchen. But if she's going over there, I think she's a little mentally weird, and I think she's going for the knife drawer. I'm probably still running out of this house, right? Because I know I'm effectively a visitor in this lady's house, legally speaking, which is why we always have to know legally what grounds are we. See, she said pedestrian in a roadway. Oh my God. But you got to know your legal standing in all of this stuff. Like, and this is why we harp on it. This is why we have these discussions, right? Let's say she yelled at them to get out. Should they leave?
Yes.
Right? I mean, like, if she decided that she didn't want him there anymore, yelled at them to leave, they didn't. Theoretically, and I know this is a spicy topic, but theoretically, she could leverage force to make those police officers leave because they have no lawful reason to be there. And in that case, you're losing any qualified immunity you have to do an accomplished. Yeah, Josh, shut up. Play the video. Anyways.
So so on the police activity video, you can hear it a little bit better where he does say, it's kind of hard to tell what he tells her, but he says something, 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 and then goes, we don't need a fire while we're here. And that's when she gets up and goes.
Yeah.
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I
rebuke you in the name of
You better fucking not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in the fucking face.
Rebuke you is not a threat, technically. Rebuke you is like a that's a theology term there.
Drop the fucking pot.
Oh my.
Yeah, I don't think you closed the gap here. This guy
that's ridiculous.
Can only shoot his partner. I'm not trying to laugh at this, but like there's a couple of weird things going on. This officer here that's in front that is deciding to close the gap and use force, I guess, put his partner in a bad spot because he's likely not able to fit through here he can't help you. You made this a one-on-one confrontation inside of 10 feet with a lady with boiling water and you and a gun. That's what you made this, which you pretty much guaranteed serious bodily injury, right? Let me see. I want to go back to this guy's perspective here. We're going to skip all the parts that are going to get us in trouble. Is it 28? Yeah. So she is reasonably holding a hot pot of water over a sink right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get what he's saying.
So no, we saw it in the other. She lets it go.
So he draws down and she lets it go.
Mm-hmm.
Which at this point now he's drawing down on a lady that's armed with oven mitts, basically. So she's hiding, and I believe there.
So if you go, frame by frame, you can see where she like grabs it and
tries to toss it.
Yeah.
I just don't get the approach here, to be honest.
No, it makes no sense. Your distance is your friend. There's no purpose for
I also
getting
did notice
closer to her when she's already let it go.
That this is too small of a gap for his partner to get involved. I don't want to get too far into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she does get up and throw it. So he's got some legal grounds here to say that there is he's in a clear place of danger. Where the complicated is why I had the rest of the talkie as much as you guys hate it, is the circumstances that created this use of force were made almost completely by the officer. Right? And so you can't now, again, I can't hand my boot gun, put it in his hand and point it at an officer just for me to shoot him. Like I can't do that. Right? And legally that precedence is going to be there. The other real big red flag here is going to be the law enforcement objective for them to physically be there. Let's say the second she says, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, right? And is asking them to leave. And that's why I brought this up before. Can she now use force to get these officers to leave her house? Yeah. Theoretically, that's going to be a justified use of force. You can look at what happened with the no-knock warrant on Breonna Taylor's house, where boyfriend did indeed use force back on these officers because he had no idea why they were there, right? And the reasonableness, now they did have a valid warrant and they were absolutely going for someone that was committing crimes, but because the individual getting forced to use on them had no way of knowing that these were police officers. All he has is a bunch of random people kicking in his door and shooting at him, right? He had perfectly reasonable for him to shoot back. Same situation here where even though she knows it's uniformed police officers, they don't have any legal authority. She now is rebuking them and asking them to leave. This is the situation.
And she says, I rebuke you and I'll rebuke you in the name of Jesus. It didn't sound aggressive though. It could have been a joke. And he immediately goes,
no, you won't.
That's literally a joke that I would make.
Yeah.
Which is literally like, yeah bro, like I'm going to baptize you or something dumb like that.
So he
immediately thinks it means she's trying to kill him.
Yeah. And what I'm getting at is even if she did mean it aggressively, they have no legal reason to be there. They're not detaining her. This is not a crime scene. There stopped being a law enforcement objective 10 minutes ago when she was like, I guess there's nobody here. They figured out that was her car. She might be a little crazy, but this is going to be considered a bad shoot, as it should be. The rest of this is probably getting us in trouble. To my understanding, there was also complications on what was said afterwards. You are being recorded, as you should be when you're doing law enforcement stuff. What you say, whether the shooting is justified or not, can get you in trouble. And then rendering aid is your job. Again, this is why I made the differentiation between the military and police. In the military, they do dead checks and stuff. They have no obligation to help you at all. I guess if you surrender, maybe they're supposed to take you captive, but there's very few rules of engagement on that, and they have to train that into you, which is why, because your life might depend on it, right? It's not considered a war crime in policing when you fail to do these things. It's called charges, right? This guy's, I believe they charged him with first degree or second degree murder.
Some kind of murder.
I don't know that you would get first degree because I can't see how this is premeditated. And unless there's something in his social media or in personal conversations where like he's making statements about wanting to hurt somebody, then maybe you could make it premeditated. But this is likely going to be second-degree unpremeditated murder because the use of force is not going to be covered. So for all of the people that are like qualified immunity, it does not account here because there is no law enforcement objective. That's enough talkie-talkie. I owe the Patreon group a... they did go with first degree. That is a spicy meatball. If anything...
That seems...
I'm almost not happy with the first degree charge.
Yeah, that's easier to defend.
That's easier to defeat. Yeah, well, because you could say it doesn't meet the elements. It's not premeditated. They'll probably kick it down. Or have him plea for the second degree, right? But I also don't like that. Don't give this guy a plea deal. Charge him what he's actually guilty of. Anyways, maybe it's different and the law's different there because it can be, but typically that delineation doesn't change from one state to another.
Yeah.
I don't like charging people with the wrong thing in the hopes that they take a plea deal. I believe the justice system can get off their lazy ass and work the way they're supposed to. This fits second degree murder. I can articulate simply based off the video evidence, second degree. First degree is going to require premeditation, and that's so stupid. That's the DA's office for you, to be fair, though. Anyways, oh yeah, this is like half of these videos here. They're all related. Yeah. Anyways, we're part of that. We gave our 2 cents. I'm sorry, Dan, for talking too much. But the whole point is not to watch.
Next time we're just going to do a silent stream just for Dan.
Just for Dan. Just play the videos.
Yeah, just full on copyright, strike our channel for playing videos without commentary.
Easy takeaway for that is know what you have, and when you have it, understand your lawful authority and where it ends. Because someone might do something stupid and it puts you in a life or death situation. You are not going to get qualified immunity unless you have a law enforcement objective. Like, it's just not going to happen. R.I.P. to that lady.
Also have a little more, I don't know, just common sense or better training about how to handle these types of situations. Because we've watched enough of these videos that I'm not letting anybody go into a kitchen by themselves for anything. Yeah. If I have you seated on a couch and I'm talking to you there, you stay there. I'm going to go turn off that stove myself.
And I have in a consensual encounter. So we had auditors that would happen all the time. I would have a Second Amendment auditor that would be open carrying, and he had the gun on his back. And I said, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm called out here. I'm not detaining you. If you want to walk away, you can do all that kind of stuff. Just understand if you put that in any way in a threatful manner, I will point a gun back at you. As long as you don't do that, we're going to be cool." I was called because people were complaining. I see that you're not pointing it at anybody. There is no current crime that you are committing. All I'm doing is here so that whoever complained, saw a police officer walk up to you and talk to you. If you want to identify yourself, cool. If you don't, deuces. But the second you point that or become a threat to somebody, it will be my problem. That's simple. And twice they walked away from me. One time he actually talked to me and identified and gave him a number and we high-fived and it was easy. But I had to know I'm detaining you for disturbing the peace or whatever, you know what I mean? Now we're getting into a scuffle, and now I've created a life or death situation because I decided to go hands-on with a person who I know is armed for no good reason. I could have very easily put myself in that set of circumstances. For what? I would tell the lady, your little pony is cute. Yes, it's a beautiful pony, because I don't want to create the circumstances that make me have to use force. Frost Gaming, what's going on, homie?
Shannon, absolutely. My mother-in-law is not going anywhere near the kitchen. My side of the family does the cooking.
Exactly. Anyways, if you guys like this type
of... quick question, though.
Yes.
So, where'd he go? Brian Miner, because he had a serious question. Him saying, I'm going to pew you in the head 10 seconds prior. Would that be what they're arguing as premeditation?
No. Is this because you got to think the affirmative defense to that, right? I did say it, but I felt that she was a threat to me with that boiling hot water. The way that's going to play itself out in court is, who here does not feel threatened if I was holding a boiling hot water and was about to put you would play the scene from Watchmen where that guy gets grease thrown on his face. It's like, does anyone want to consent to that? No. Does that look like serious bodily injury to you? Yes. So if someone's holding it, and is it reasonable for me to be threatened by that? Sure. right? Like the that's not a good way to phrase that argument. Here goes on only robbers here, I guess. But like in that specific situation, premeditation is going to require, and premeditation can happen a minute or 30 seconds before a shooting happens. But like what caused him to make that statement and what his defense attorney is going to say is, well, there's the hot water there, right? He's feeling threatened. He's in that environment. He doesn't know. Where the flip side of that argument is, well, why didn't you leave? And what lawful authority did you have to be there? Is this woman not in her own house and you're just basically there chatting her up? She started to say, I rebuke you. He said to that comment, I'm going to shoot you. Like they're going to say, well, it's kind of like in an accident, right? Like who's at fault in the accident? Well, clearly a collision happened. It's whoever's going to be in the wrong. And currently the lawful authority sat in the crazy lady's house holding the hot water, not the officers that were turning what should have been a 5-second call into a 50-minute call.
And then what about the commentary after the fact? Could that play into it?
So that's not going to make it premeditated. That might flip it to like a hate crime. So let's say, I don't know what the comments were and we're not going to get into it, but let's say he made comments specifically about her being crazy or about her ethnicity or about her gender, things of that nature.
But did call her a crazy bitch, I think.
Right. So if he says those things and he shows that he didn't have a lot of remorse in that moment, then they're going to say that he did it or he acted that way because of those factors. And you could potentially make that, you could make it so maybe it's first degree because it qualifies that he did it because she was MHMR or because she was a woman or because she was whatever. And that's just a bias that he holds. And that when he used that force, he used it because of that bias. Then it might fit the first degree murder, but it'd be because of bias, not because of premeditation. If that makes any sense. But that's a aggregating
He also
factor.
said he didn't want to waste his med kit on her.
That's going to make it first degree.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. So if that was the case and he did not render aid and say, I don't want to waste it because it's this lady, then yes.
Yeah. Well, he said it's a headshot. Don't waste it, et cetera, et cetera. That's why they're like, watch the rest of the video. There's a lot of this stuff. It is blur. Like they blur everything. So it is technically safe. It's just a rough video for a Tuesday stream.
Yeah. I won't push it just because I don't want to get us nuked off the internet. If you guys want to see these every week, I have to be very careful. I'll do it in the after party for you guys if you guys really want to. If you're paying to be part of our Discord group, I will allow it if you guys all want to see it. But
But yeah, he basically tries to stop the other officer from going to get his med kit to do it because he's like, it's basically done, and it was a whole thing. And then he calls her crazy after that when describing it, and there's a whole other, like 20 minutes.
In a wild universe where this is somehow a justified shooting in some universe, right? And let's say that they can beat the premeditation or they could beat the use of force and make the use of force justified, there being an opportunity or it being policy that you render aid and them refusing to render aid on the lady could absolutely make it first degree. At that point, you are knowingly and intentionally not helping somebody for some odd reason, knowing it could lead to their death and then it happening. Then I could see the argument. I'm the editor.
I'm the disembodied voice you hear sometimes in the back of the officer's reacts when the little black text on the white box comes up. That's me. Just asking a question or clarifying.
Juan is the civilian oversight board that lives on the screen. Versus the one in the back.
And then Keith sits next to me, and then Bill sits next to Josh.
So if you'd like to see the spicy hot take version of this in full form and glory with no editing, you guys can go check us out in our Discord. There is 2 ways to get to said Discord. You either join as a member here on YouTube, or you can become a member on our Patreon group. For as little as $1 a month, you will get access to said Discord. If you are a member and don't have access, please direct message us either on Instagram or through the application that you have it in. You should have a way to do it. We can get you access to it. If you are paying for it, I want you to have it. There's also tiers to that. Certain tiers get you certain access. And then there's also merch if you're so inclined to go do that. Juan has some pretty sweet stuff up there. We do have conversations like this all the time. And then we do streams like this twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30-ish Central Standard Time. We were on time today. Suck it, Dan. But we, Josh, this is cooked. But anyways, We'll do that kind of stuff. We're going to be playing the Ready or Not update also in the after party, so I do owe that to people. That has gotten updated. Go check that out. Void made a pretty good game that they've kind of abandoned for the better part of a year, but I'll see if I forgive them after this. But anyways, or just watch police activity. Yes,
but then you don't get us pausing in the middle of it and talking for 20 minutes, which is really what you want.
Exactly. So anyways, you guys like this kind of educational stuff, let us know. You can go subscribe to the channel. A lot of people aren't subscribed to this. We do Officers React, where it's not real law enforcement, but it is shows, comedy skits, movies, all of that kind of stuff. I definitely, as much as I don't...
I think if he hadn't been like immediately charged, it probably would have.
Yeah, dude. I think it's why they did it the way they did it. Yeah. I think they'll be very lucky to walk away without that. Having participated in the first one, that's how it happened. But anyways, I love you all. At least Isaac gets it. He gets the commentary. See, Dan, it probably hurts Dan because like he's a cop, right? And it's like, yeah, well, duh, I know. So I forgive him for that.
Yeah, but this is literally the purpose of the channel is to educate the public about policing, and all the salty cops are in here. I already know this.
Hey,
but
I love
know.
Him. I love him for it. Dan keeps us honest, at least.
Give some opinions then. I do want to do more. We might do next stream. We might just do like an Australia themed one.
Hey, we give him an Australian stuff. So, anyways, if you guys like this stuff, I want
to see what like his police academy was compared to the drill sergeant academy.
Given what I know about Dan, I bet you he is a very high speed, low drag cop 4 out there. But it is definitely a different culture that he's policing out there. I do think that they probably have to do a lot less with a lot more with a lot less. I know they don't have the budgets that we get away with here. The same level of policing in America gets way more budget than they ever would in Australia, mostly because of tax base and GDP, but also like, do we have
also the cost of just getting stuff there? Yeah.
But anyways, I love you all.
Isaac, it's $1.
He said it's $1. Either way, at the very least, what's free is you can subscribe and get access to the channel all the time. We do all of this free of charge to the internet, but I do thank all of the guys supporting us on Patreon, and I will give you guys a very robust after party after this downer. So anyways, I love you all. I will see the rest of you guys next or Thursday, I guess. And then for everybody else, I'll see you here in a second.